It's time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show, materialising live tonight here on the Spacebook channel. As always, what have we got for you this time? I think you know, due to the big letters on the nice friendly thumbnail that we've put out. Welcome. Yes, whatever time zone or time stream you're joining us from, we are ready to go. If you are, for this special event show, it's the question, the big question that is on everybody's minds, isn't it? Everybody out there in the Whoniverse right now, because time is getting closer as the days and the weeks and the months, they count down, because it's only a matter of time, as always with Doctor Who, before we find out who it is. Who's next? What's Russell T Davies got up his sleeve? Who's on his notepad? Because it does seem all signs are confirming or seeming to confirm that the next Doctor has been cast. That's just something that's drifted around through social media over the last 2 to 3 days. We'll come to some more of that as the show's going along. But please like the video now. It's going to be a good one. Of course, it's going to be a good one. They're all good ones. But like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell so you get notifications even about when we're going to be doing it next, because we do these live shows all the time. This is Type 40 Live, our live stream strand of the Type 40 podcast that we put out through the Fandom Podcast Network. Hold tight. This is going to be a packed show full of potential new Doctors, exciting new futures from myself and my friends and companions who are all waiting to come on. Right now, they're probably thinking, "Go on, get on with it, Hadley. Get on with it. Open the TARDIS doors and let everyone in." We're joined, as always, by a live chat full of you, our companions out there on YouTube, the world's largest streaming platform, and over on Facebook in the Type 40 Facebook group and Facebook page. Hello, everybody there. So, yeah, if you are watching in Facebook, either of those places, please remember to hit the little icon there so you can let StreamYard know who you are. StreamYard will tell us, and we'll all be on first name terms. And you can add your comments to the rolling chat, to the live chat that's going on right now with all our companions watching and listening along. Okay. Let's bring them all in, shall we? Who's first? Firstly, returning and resplendent in the mother of all jumpers, it can only be Mr. JT.
Good evening. Hello, Spacebookers. How are we all? Nice to see you. Everybody in the chat there, nice to see you. Thank you very much. How are you? Get a shave.
Fabulous. Yeah, I need a shave, and I need some shades as well with a jumper like that. That's a very fetching piece of knitwear you're wearing. Have you had it long?
Yes, I've had this for a long time. I've had this since 1987. My mum knitted this for me, Spacebookers, back in the day. It's very cold up here today, so this has gone on. But it's lovely to see. And can I just say as well at the top of the show, thank you to all the Spacebookers that got in touch with me over the last couple of weeks saying, "Where are you? Are you okay? Everything's fine. Thank you very much." It was lovely to hear from you.
Missing in action, lost in time and space, but he's made his way back, and he's armed, as always, with information for us later on about merchandise. We're going to be looking at what we could possibly line our shelves with. We'll come to that in a short while. Who else is with us? It's we have. Yeah, this was her idea, so we'll bring her on too. It's Queen Charlotte Shields.
Hello.
Hello, good to have you back, Charlotte.
I thought it'd be a bit of fun, and I think it'd be an interesting conversation if nothing else.
That's as good a reason as any, isn't it, JT, for doing this? A bit of fun. Why not?
Yes, let's have a bit of fun. I
know somebody else is always up for a bit of fun. Barnaby Jago.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's a very fun jumper, JT. I love it.
Barnaby Jago, who hasn't had a haircut. I thought he had, but he hasn't.
Everyone's been saying that recently.
He's just brushed it and put some gel in it.
Yes, some matte clay in it. Yes, just that.
Yeah, he wants that free now if you're watching. That's advertising.
Yeah. I'm now sponsored by them. Hello, Spacebookers, and hello everyone in the chat. Hello.
Our punters know, don't they, Barnaby? We do a lot of food talk and a lot of hair talk.
Yes, we do.
And nobody does it better than Simon Horton.
Yes.
Good evening, Simon.
I'm really not certain how to take that one.
Good to see you, mate.
Not often he's said that in his life, I tell you.
Hey, bada bing.
I'm here all week.
The zingers are coming. How are you, Simon? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. In a world that's gone absolutely mad in the last week, and we don't even talk about it, but I'm making my subtle political statement here. And you know, let's just so I'm terrified to say actually things are good, but at the moment things are good.
Oh, I get it. Oh, I thought because you're a big fan of IKEA. I thought that's why you would dress up.
Hey!
Oh dear!
I'm wasted. I'm wasted.
Stop insulting Simon. He's only just come on. Leave him alone.
Let's bring on Ian, the mega geek, David here. See if he can restore some balance and some decorum to
The
proceedings.
Canetto Queen himself. Yeah.
Oh, wrong show. There you go.
Oh,
You can
God.
get thrown out for things like that.
Yeah, I know. It's not good, is it? Hey.
Yes, because we're here to talk about Doctor Who, everybody, and specifically the very next Doctor Who. Should we see how excited everybody is in the chat on YouTube and Facebook, watching and listening along to all this absolute nonsense? Like Julian Raxel, who says, "Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well." Well, you can be the judge of that based on the conversation in the last 5 minutes. Are we well? Who knows? They let us out anyway. They better not slip, kid. I don't know what that is. That in reference to our hair, or no, it's all my own. But now, good evening,
It's
everybody.
Barnaby's hair's got a life of its own. It needs its own show.
Yes.
Barnaby's hair does.
Oh yeah, this is going to slip. This is just a hairpiece. Yeah, I've been fooling you all for years.
I've just thought of that show, actually. It's just come to mind. I'll write it for you, Barnaby, and we'll take it to the BBC.
We have a Vorp here from Who Fan Dan.
No chance.
A Vorp never
No,
goes
yeah.
amiss around these parts. JFO says hi, everyone.
We'll call it reality, Ian. It'll get on.
Crimpline doubloon. Everybody's saying good evening to one another. Problem beings here. Lex Royals here. Rebecca Gold's here. How's that happen here?
Don't know.
And JFO has been looking forward to this show. Interested to see everyone's picks and if any of them will come
I can't
true.
drink that. It goes right through me.
First time for everything.
Who knows? Matt's
Oh,
here.
God.
Matt, you're still
Matt
dumped.
Pot. Yeah. Oh, this is fabulous to see. Lots of new names too, returning characters, the usual suspects, and a good mix of people turned up to see what on earth
Fabulous.
we're going to be talking about. Yeah, because it's a perennial question, of course it is, but we're at that sweet spot at the moment, aren't we, Charlotte, where we have, they announced that Jodie Whittaker was leaving the part whenever it was.
Thank God.
6 months ago. 6 months ago, something like that. And
yeah.
this is quite a long time. Yeah, you're right, Barnaby. It does seem like a long time, doesn't it? So
Well, it is for us because we broke it in January last year. So it is for us.
That's a good point.
But this is the longest period of time, I think, I read somewhere, in between one Doctor leaving and the identity of another one being confirmed, Charlotte. So it won't be too long, will it? And this is a question that has obviously, since it became obvious that this was going to be a running thing with Doctor Who back in the 60s and the 70s, it's the question we've all had bob up from time to time, every 3, 4, 5 years max. Who next?
Yeah,
John Week's coming back.
And it would
Is
be
he?
nice. But I
Let
think
Charlotte
also,
speak. Let Charlotte speak.
But I think also it feels really different almost this time because we've got
Yes.
Russell, we've got Bad Wolf. It seems like a very different type of handover or change this time. So that means I think anything could happen. Really, we sort of say that a lot, but I think this time it actually is true. Anything really could happen with the next Doctor.
Yeah. And
We'll see.
although
Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Simon's got money on that Spacebookers. And
I
I reckon
have.
he feels with a chance. He
I
might
haven't
win.
been saying Kermit the Frog for 6 months. I really want to see Kermit. Look, be honest, who doesn't want to see Kermit the Frog as the next Doctor?
Do you know anything's possible in this crazy bloody world right now, isn't there?
Well, that's the thing,
Regenerate
isn't it,
into a
JT?
frog.
Because popular culture has gone slightly mad. Doctor Who has been through all of that, and hopefully it's coming out. Hopefully it's coming out the other end. And so the precise time we're in now, this is probably, hopefully, this is the first time the fandom has been in this exact place for 5 years. So it could be, if this goes right, and the next Doctor, whoever that may be, is a hit in the part and stays for a good chunk of time, it could be the last time we're in this position for another 4 or 5 years, couldn't it?
Absolutely, it could. I mean, it's interesting what Charlotte was saying there, and also probably for Barnaby, because with them being new. Thank you, Jamie. He can't have it. I'll have a word with him. With Charlotte and Barnaby being of the new generation, as it were, they don't know this. I mean, we've lived through this. We lived through McCoy to McGann. And you're right, Charlotte, it is different this time because this time the BBC have actually handed one of their most valuable properties over to 2 independent businesses. So it's completely different. And, I think that's why certain young idiots on Twitter and on YouTube are getting very confused and, getting lots of rumors out there, which are just from their head. So
It's
it's bizarre.
crazy.
It is quite strange because Clownfish thinks that was it Bad Wolf is owned by Russell T.
They
and
do.
I think same thing with Gary, I think, at one point. But only we know what's really going on.
Actually, Ian, it's quite interesting with our friends over at Clownfish, because I keep messaging them saying, no, it's not owned by him, and they're not looking.
It's crazy,
Clownfish, look at your messages from JT. Thank you.
Yeah, so this is a sweet spot. And obviously the long line of Doctors stretching back 59 years now, it's quite a legacy. And so to add to that, it's only been miscast once, proper miscast once. We won't dwell on that too much. It's only really been miscast once. It's a distinguished legacy. We all have our favourites. And I thought we could go over that right now in true Type 40 style. So, Ian, yes, we are. Yes, we are going to be taking the piss.
We're here till midnight, folks.
We're going to do this slightly differently from everybody else. I'm going to now tell you the lost legend of the shaveless child. Everybody get a load of this. So, yes, so Doctor Who, 1963, of course, it all started. And originally back then, regeneration, that wasn't even thought of. Even rejuvenation, wasn't even thought of. But those initial Doctors from the 1960s here, the shaveless children, we're now looking at the two guys who set the path for everybody that would follow. Yes, so we have William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, the grumpy old man and the cosmic hobo there. One originated the role, and the other one kind of turned him into a hero, Barnaby. That's what they say, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. He definitely looks more sort of hobo-ish with the beard.
How about Pertwee? How do you think he looks with the beard then?
Actually, he looks quite good with the beard, doesn't he?
He does.
What's Rasputin doing there?
Yeah,
Don't
Tom's
know.
definitely channeling Rasputin.
Tom
He played Rasputin, didn't he?
I know, he did, yeah.
He looks like one of the presenters on the Open University there, I think.
He does, yeah.
In his flared jeans, yeah.
How about Peter Davison
Oh
there?
no!
wow.
He looks like the guy that does that. The guy who's married to Victoria Coren Mitchell. What's his name?
Oh,
David
David
Mitchell.
Mitchell.
David Mitchell.
He does.
Yeah.
Like a younger, more good-looking brother.
Yes. And we're used to seeing Colin with a bit of facial fungus, aren't we? Because he does sport that from time to time in between seasons. But it looks pretty good. There's Sylvester.
Radagast
Looks quite
Brown.
Hobbit-like. Ian's lost it.
Oh, it's
All is
crazy.
late for a steampunk convention.
You don't get this on Radio Free Scaro. Do you like, share, and subscribe? Everybody subscribe to the channel.
Barnaby, there's your next cosplays.
Yeah, full on there. What
Really
by Jove?
doesn't he? He
Simon?
really becomes the Victorian explorer there.
Yeah,
Excellent.
he
Or
does.
the Edwardian, yeah, excellent.
Jules
Around the
Verne.
world
Jules
makes
Verne.
videos.
Jules
There
Verne,
they
yeah.
are.
No.
Into the 21st century there with DT and Chris. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston. That's the biggest smile I think I've ever seen from him. He's obviously very comfortable there with a bit of hair on his chin there, keeping the wind off.
It's just not working.
It's not working, is it? No. It's like Chris has got a bigger chin or something.
Yeah.
He's just done that. He looks like a poster or something.
What about Matt Smith? It's made his eyes look even smaller, hasn't it?
Yeah. No, actually, it suits Matt Smith.
It
Yeah,
suits,
that
yeah.
works.
Yes, I
suit
think
that.
so. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and it suits Peter. Definitely suits
Peter.
Peter.
Peter rocking the facial hair really, really well there.
Eyebrows and beard.
He could have got away with it on screen, I think. In fact, maybe Matt could have too, but I think Peter definitely.
Yeah, again, that looks sort of Edwardian traveller, doesn't he? It's Jules Verne kind of look.
As you know, we are equal opportunities piss takers here on Type 40 Live. So yeah, fair enough. You know it's coming.
Bring it on.
Let's see it.
Who said pound shop BG? Who said that?
Look at John Bishop in the background giving it. What the hell is going on there?
Doesn't it look lovely?
You know, it could have worked. It could have worked.
Oh my god!
I'm finishing off there with the fugitive. The fugitive with the fungus there, yes. People in the chat.
Looks like my brother. Looks like my brother.
So that's a recap there of those who have gone before. The good, the bad, and the ugly, but let's whittle it down a little bit to the people who really matter there up on screen, the actual doctors, the proper doctors, the people who've made a difference to our lives, our childhoods, our adulthoods, our second childhoods, and hopefully they'll be added to in the coming weeks. And we find out who it's going to be, who's going to be number 14. The thing is with this role, we talked about recently, Simon, is that...
Did we?
Yeah, we talked about Tom Baker we did a Tom Baker tribute show a few weeks ago, a birthday show, and we were talking about how all of these actors, some of them have come in and been quite conscious of the fact they're taking over the role of the Doctor. Mm-hmm. Others have played it intuitively, haven't they? Mm-hmm. So as if they're the very first person who's ever played it.
Yep.
I think going forward, that has to be the way that whoever takes the role next has to do it.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that could really be levelled most at probably the first 4 to 5 Doctors. And really, once you get to Colin, and this is no criticism on any actors from Colin onwards at all, it's just the case that by the time you get to Colin, I think those actors are more taking on the role with a more conscious thought in their brain that they are playing the Doctor. Whereas, obviously Billy Hartnell, bless him, he's the one that set them all. But certainly second, third, fourth, fifth Doctors, I think probably, certainly up to Tom Baker, I think they were going intuitively. I think that was just absolutely intuitive acting. They were acting the part the best they could. There was no real comprehension that they were playing the Doctor in the way that there was for people after that, where I think there is more baggage that comes with it.
So I think the three, John, Tom and Matt, they were all very much themselves, in my opinion. The rest, I think they were trying to be the Doctor.
Tom was definitely himself, and John as well. Actually, I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it happens. It's because Simon, it's now so far in. It's 60 years old next year, and people know it's the Doctor.
Yeah,
and I think that's where you can make a mistake if you take the role, because you have an image of what the Doctor is, and if you actually take that image and run with it, you can fail disastrously. Whereas you really do have to build your own character as a talented actor. You should build a character and be different to the other. And it must get harder. I mean, God knows what it's going to be like when it's Doctor 5624 next.
But I honestly think that the next person should be, as everybody else is saying, should be his own person. And I agree with JT. Whoever's going to take over the Doctor, they're going to be thinking about the other Doctors. But what they should do is basically look at the other Doctors and then be themselves. Don't ignore the rest of the Doctors. Know what you're getting yourself into. Know about the Doctor and just move forward from there, in my opinion. But just my opinion, of course. There you go.
Who's it going to be? How are they going to do it? People in the chat have been captivated by that slideshow there of taking us through the decades with
Pertwee. Yes.
Matt Pott says that's true. Sylvester used to think Doctor moments. That's a Pertwee moment, a Tom moment. Yes, he did. I think Colin definitely did that too. And people, Matt Pott also says he likes Capaldi's long hair. Daniel Leach, competition with Daniel Leach says Hartnell beard looks like the tutor in my history class at Motherwell College.
That's brilliant.
It was in another life.
Maybe it was. The Darren Zoner says, right, this live stream is getting silly. Very silly indeed.
Very silly.
Keep up. Yes. If you think that was silly, wait until you see what's coming up. Okay. Yes, hold tight for more. And of course we have Bailey and Reba.
Oh, for God's sake.
There they are.
They are waiting to see who we're going to pick as our possibles. The whole idea is not who do we think Russell will pick, but who would we pick? That's where the fun really lies. Because apparently Russell has chosen his 14th Doctor. According to social media, the indications are that he has. And sure enough, this week Russell T Davies has also let it slip that he is in. Where's that? He's in Cardiff. More to the point, more specifically, he is at Bad Wolf Studios. JT, have you seen this?
I have seen this.
He's shrunk.
Eric Morecambe.
He's put this out on Instagram just today, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. He's been a bit of a tease, hasn't he? He's obviously in the office and he's obviously starting to work. He has been working hard, I'm sure, over the last wee while on it. But there he is in the office, and it's a good night. It's been a nice picture because various fans have been playing with that picture and teasing other fans on the websites today. So it's all fun.
It all looks quite innocuous, but if you go a little bit closer, look a little bit deeper in there, you notice that. What's that?
Do you know what? Right, I think he applied for the runner's job. That's why he's there.
Poor Chris Marshall is never going to live it down, is he? Everybody, he's never going to live it down. After it's been 5 years since all that, but he still can't escape. He still can't escape Doctor Who. And somebody who has absolutely escaped Doctor Who, or has Doctor Who escaped them? A little bit of news this week, which we're not going to go on about too much, but it's only fair to say to wave him off. I'm not going to be saying what we're waving with when we wave him off, but it's farewell to Mr. Piers Wenger, who's leaving the BBC head of drama, who has he was originally one of the producers on Doctor Who back in the Matt Smith days, and he's been in this higher position at the BBC for a number of years now, and has certainly been there since the Equality and Diversity Charter business all came in and pushed that through. He's now moving on.
Bye, Piers.
The usual carefully worded press release time, Simon. Did you see that about Piers?
No.
He wasn't there long, was he? He wasn't there long.
I'm always so critical of it. It's just the usual garbage, isn't it? About what a wonderful time they've had and what a pleasure it's been to work with such talented people, etc., etc. Really,
what talented people?
Yeah, he looks about as happy as he's made the audience of Doctor Who over the last 4 or 5 years, doesn't he?
Not just the audience of Doctor Who, but the audience in general. Don't forget that this is the man that has destroyed Christmas Day on BBC One.
Yeah, when it comes to the people at A24, at the end of the day, he's not going to Bad Wolf, is he? That's the good news. He's not going to Bad Wolf, so anything else could only be really, really good news. He's going to A24, who make a lot of horror shows, TV shows, and movies, I believe. So they're quite a big production company, aren't they, Barnaby? Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't heard of them. No, but they must have a lot of money to burn.
Yeah, exactly.
Going to lose.
Well, maybe he becomes cheap these days. Maybe he's just cheap.
Well, it was interesting because when they announced that he was moving over along with somebody else from another organisation, they made a big point, which made me laugh. They made a big point of the fact that he's coming in to help them champion inclusion and diversity in their programming. And I thought, well, you won't be around in 3 years' time, then, will you?
That's what the world needs. More inclusive.
Obviously, yeah. We speak, everybody here, obviously, Piers, we wish you well in your future endeavours and hope that it is only blue skies ahead. Well, mostly blue skies. And we look forward to a Wengerless future with Doctor Who going forward. People in the chat are gutted about this here, Ian, about this news. Don't look back in Wenger. We have a simple hooray from the talents of Wang Chang.
He's dressed like a school teacher, isn't he? There in that picture.
Yes, he is a bit. Yeah.
It's not, I hate to say this, Piers, you've not got many fans amongst the Doctor Who community. It's I think that's your doing, though, my friend. But I don't know you. I've never met you, but it's people aren't impressed. So good luck at A24, obviously.
Yeah, don't let the door hit you while you're leaving in the arse.
Let's interview him in 25 years' time for a Blu-ray box set or a holographic box set or whatever it's going to be, like they did with Michael Grade recently, because I think Piers Wenger is going to go down worse than Grade.
I think you could be right. Okay, well, somebody that goes down a lot better is this sounds bad. Is yourself, JT. Okay.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
These clouds were such children
again.
And people have
my reputation precedes me.
But people have missed you. What they don't know is that you've been away, haven't you? You've been fertling out, and you've had your eye out on the pre-orders list for all the Doctor Who merchandise out there. That's what you've been doing. He's been undercover looking at what merch, Charlotte, is
undercover,
on the way.
Undercover in that jumper? I don't think so.
I blended in, Simon.
You're a very sixth Doctor today. I will say that. You are.
Thank you.
So I think what people want to know, JT, is what have you found out? What's worth pre-ordering, or even putting on the old Christmas list if it's that far in advance? What's coming next, merchandise-wise?
Well, thank you for asking, Dan. Hello, Spacebookers, and welcome to Merchandise Paradise with me, JG. Yeah, first of all, I want to start with this, because obviously I've been off for the last couple of weeks. You probably know about this. You probably heard about it. But here it is. It's the character options Silurian set for Warriors of the Deep. I want to put that in. Now, I've checked before we came on air. This is still available from the character options website from anywhere around the world. It's not a B&M exclusive. You can get it from the character options website. It's exclusive to them, and apparently they have some left. It's £29.99 UK pounds, and they're beautiful. Actually, they are absolutely gorgeous. And if you don't snap them up first, I'm actually going to go and get another one because I love them and I want to open them and play with them, madam.
You want to have an whole army of you want to have it's going to be one of those nights. Somebody's just said carry on Facebook. Yeah, it is getting that way.
Yes. Well, obviously it includes Iktar, Tarpok and Skibbus from Warriors of the Deep, which I know Simon loves and I love as well.
love Warriors of the Deep, and I was delighted. There we go. I have got a really, really soft spot for Warriors of the Deep in all its tacky glory. And
all its murkers.
When JT first sent his photograph in of this wonderful set he's got, my first comment was, has one of them just got their sort of, just sticking out the collar on the back for true authenticity?
And it does! No, I'm kidding.
Not bad though. Not bad costumes for the day though. Let's face it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that looks wild already.
Levels.
Yeah.
We're back to carry on Facebook with that, really, aren't we?
Absolutely. And look, they look fantastic when you do some wonderful things there from them. What was his name at the Dave? What?
This is Steve Alexander's incredible creativity. We're seeing on screen now several pictures of his Silurians. I think this is why, if you buy several sets, you can sort of take them out on manoeuvres. And a battalion of them. So then you can have as many as there were on at the BBC costume store, can't you? 6.
I think these are better than the BBC costume ones, actually. They're gorgeous. Yeah. So you've got that. And as I say, it's still available from the Character Online website right now. If you are in Britain and you're collecting these figures, don't forget that in B&M right now, as you'll probably know, the robot set has arrived.
Wow.
That's available now for $19.99. The robot itself is brilliant. It's absolutely gorgeous. I've got one there. I had to treat myself to the second one. Can you see it behind me? They're absolutely beautiful. So they are now available as well. And speaking of Warriors of the Deep, you may want to pre-order
the Merca.
This is slick. The CD, because the Target novels on the CDs are available. You can pre-order Warriors of the Deep right now for £23. It's available from May the 4th. I couldn't get you a cover.
Be with you.
Oh, lovely. Yes, it's. I was hoping to get you a cover. We'll get it to you next time around. I didn't get it in time today.
This is the talking book, is it? This is the Terrence Dicks.
It's the Target novel, on CDs as part of the Target CD range and download range. It's £23, as I say, to pre-order now on CD. Available May the 4th.
Do we know who's read it?
Be with you.
I did, but I haven't written it down.
Oh.
Somebody's reading it to you. It's beautiful.
How wonderful. How wonderful.
Yes, it's lovely. What's that?
It could be Tara Ward. She does a lot of audiobooks, doesn't she? Who played the base commander in that? Not the base commander.
No, not the base commander.
She played the one that got stuck in that room with Turlo for most of episode 3.
Yeah, what's her name? Anyway,
yeah. Okay.
People are loving the Silurians, and we have plenty of requests here for the Merca. Cybermat Strike says go Merca. Let's get the Mercas on the go.
We do need a Merca, definitely.
I think we do. I think that would be camp fun. Also out this week as well. Before I stick with the CDs, the season 14 standard edition of the Blu-ray of this classic series, which Russell T Davies needs to reacquaint himself with. That's the new Doctor Who right there for you. That'll be a hit. Right, so we've got all that gone, and that's over. Back to the CDs, and I'm rushing because I know we've got a lot to do in this show today. Out today, as part of the Target CD range, is Time Lash from Glenn McCoy. It's £20 and it's on CD. And that, of course, is coming up in the new look CGI enhanced version on the season 22 Blu-ray box set, which is out later this month, which means April.
Can they make it look less cheap? I don't know how that's possible. The Time Lash, even with CGI.
Add extra tints.
Steady.
Extra cynicism here is
steady, guys. Steady.
Absolutely. Go to the Target books for a minute, and can I just say as well, Daniel's in the chat. Daniel Leach's in the chat. He won the 50th episode edition we did, and he dropped me a line because when he got his prizes through, if you remember, he won 3 Target books, and he sent me this really cool message saying, "Thank you very much." It was the first time he'd ever seen a Target novel.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Way.
Absolutely. So I'm especially thrilled, and I'm glad that you loved them, Daniel. So well done again, and I'm glad that you actually got to see some Target novel and first editions as well. He got in there as well.
Good
Right, so also coming up on March the 16th, as part of the Target CD range, is the Time Monster, and that's available to order now for £20. And you've also got, if you're pre-ordering now, the CD editions of Fires of Pompeii and the Eaters of Light are now available. They're both coming out on July the 14th at £20 each, available to pre-order now.
Those are to tie into the Target books, aren't they? The new line.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We've also got another pre-order that's come out this week. It's released on the 4th of August, and it's another one of the original novels for the past Doctors. This one is the second Doctor, and it's called The Resurrection Plant. So, yes, there it is there. Read by Fraser and written by Will Hadcroft. That's coming up for you there. I don't know if we've got time for a synopsis on that or anything.
Yeah, give us a quick blast of it. I've not heard the name Will Hadcroft before. Is he a new writer?
New name.
Sorry?
No, Will Hadcroft is saying he's a new name. Never heard of it. Has he written for Doctor Who before? Never heard of it.
I think he's written some of the books before, yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, or some of the CDs on this line. Before. So, yes, I think they are done. And I'm just getting the details up here. So, talk amongst yourselves. I have lost the details of this actual CD.
We can
I
make
had it already.
This probably kind of writes itself, doesn't it? It's something called The Resurrection Plant. I don't know. Possibly.
Yeah, and also the images on the cover are quite interesting. The people in the pods.
Cloning going on, Charlie. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it up for him. So that's great. But that's available now to pre-order if you want it for the 4th of August as
Wonderful.
well there. Great. Also, just to let you know, an interesting CD that's come along. You can now buy for $9.99 Doctor Who Minds of Magnox. Now, the Minds of Magnox is part of the Time Lord Victorious. Now, remember, this came out originally on vinyl for quite a bit of money. Was it $19.99, $29.99?
It was expensive, and they said it was only going to come out on vinyl in a limited number as well.
No, cheeky devils. They're taking a second bite of the cherry.
Yes.
Naughty baby.
So there you can. It's CD now, and it's $9.99.
That's very naughty.
I don't know what you think of that, Facebook.
Something else on vinyl, and it only
It's a beautiful cover.
Yeah, Tennant's a bit interesting looking in that cover.
What's is that Tennant in the middle there, or who's that
it's
guy?
supposed to be Tennant, the big image.
Okay.
It's a nude in a minute, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nude. Okay. I couldn't
Tennant's not even reading this one, which is quite strange. Jacob Goodman's doing it. He doesn't do a bad Tennant, Simon, but it's not great.
He does a very, very, very good Tennant, but it just feels a bit odd somehow, doesn't it? It just feels kind of bargain basement. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Derek, how much did you pay for it for on vinyl? Can we ask you? Let us know, because they did say it was going to be part of the range for the Time Lord Victorious, which we reviewed on this show, whenever it was. And now I was very surprised to see this for $9.99 on CD. Really, really was.
Yes,
it's a bit naughty to me.
Okay, so you've got that one. They're the CDs for you as well. Just to let you know as well that you can actually now pre-order what we talked about a few weeks ago, the Essential Terrence Sticks paperbacks, volumes 1 and 2. They are now set at a price of $14.99 each. Thanks, Derek. There you go, $24.99. And they're going to be available on the 5th of May. Going back to vinyl, you may have seen that the latest in the Demon Records is out. It's the Pirate Planet. So there you go. That's going to be available from March the 4th. You can pre-order it now for $31.99. It's the usual disc. $31.99. Yes, $31.99. So, and of course, it includes a character that should have its own spin-off series, which is the Polyphase Avatron.
I agree.
Yes, absolutely. So true.
Yes, let's start the campaign now for that spin-off series. It'll be a huge hit, I'm sure.
Well, why not? Maybe Polyphase Avatron for the Doctor. Possibly. Why not?
Polyphase, yes. Is that one of your picks?
Yeah, that could be one of my picks. I'm changing. Absolutely.
So we've got that.
Looks just as stunning as all the other releases in the range, I think, everybody, both the vinyl itself and the covers.
Yeah,
who'd want to play it though if you buy it? Who'd want to play it? It looks so fantastic. I mean, why? I wouldn't play it. Would you?
Neither would I.
I'd get it on. I get it on DVD. I'll frame it. Get it on DVD and just listen to that. But I've never played the vinyls though.
Can somebody tell me what it actually is? Is it just a TV soundtrack with a narration over the top or something, a la Genesis of the Daleks? What are these releases? I've never understood what these releases of TV shows are. JT.
Yeah, it's basically the TV soundtrack, similar to what the original CDs were like ages ago. So it's an episode or so a disc. A disc? Yeah, a disc it'll be, won't it?
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, I bought a couple, but I never opened them.
I'm just not sure. I just don't know as I can see the point of them. What is the point? I don't understand what the point is.
To look pretty.
To look pretty, yeah, and also another way of getting money out of us all at this very strange time, maybe, because you can tell that, you know, we've had so many out. You know what they're going to do. It looks like they're going to release all 26 years.
Oh my life! I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong. It does look very, very cool. The artwork on the cover is superb. But I'd rather just say buy a print of that for like $4.99 as opposed to an album for 40 quid. I just can't.
It's for collectors, though, isn't it? It's for collectors.
Yes, they're for collectors, and the reason they're collecting them, of course, is because it's the clear plastic vinyl. It's a design. And the limited edition, I feel, I hear.
Until they release them on CD next year. Yeah, okay.
Oh, cynical.
I'm with you, Simon. I would buy a print of that artwork, and I would buy the vinyl.
No, but it's for serious collectors, isn't it? I mean, they're not going to play it, are they? They're just going to keep it, and you know. Collectors are crazy, aren't they? They'll collect small little things when you can get it cheaper elsewhere. But you know what collectors are like.
No, fair enough.
Yep.
They're not crazy. No, I'm just saying. You know, they go beyond the line.
You're digging, Ian. You're digging.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll dig some more.
Just a regular reminder to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the cluster bell so you get the notifications for more comedy gold and to get Ian out of a hole. What else is coming?
Exactly. That's all I've got for this year.
This week.
Fabulous.
I'm sure there'll be more coming later on the year.
It's only been back 20 minutes.
There'll be more, and it's chaos. Already a lovely kind of chaos, but if people do want to talk specifically, obviously we've got the Blu-rays dripping out there. There's a brand new season 22 set out soon. Still no date on that, and the standard editions are drifting out there as Jack one's drifting into Eyeline there. In fact, with JT, and so we decided that although we have the bar, the saloon area, the Type 40 Doctor Who fan group there, where we discuss all things Doctor Who, we thought it'd be nice to set up a little snug all of its own to talk about home media releases on Blu-ray and DVD. So we gave this a bit of a plug last week. We're going to plug it again now. This is the second Type 40 Facebook group. Over on that platform, you can join the Type 40 Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collectors group if you'd rather not talk about the show itself and all the circus surrounding it, about the politics or whatever else. If you just want to talk about collecting and shiny discs and artwork and all the little niggles like that, you can find us over there on Facebook, and JT's in there as well, aren't you? Holding court and sharing items from your personal collection.
Well, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want people. What was he saying?
I can't wait to see your personal collection, JT. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, well, that's a WhatsApp for you. But you know, it's a case of what we want to do is we want to get everybody sharing bits and pieces and showing how we do. How do you display your targets? Are you in broadcast order or number order? How are you displaying your DVDs and Blu-rays? Are you doing it release order or the broadcast? It's all that sort of stuff. Plus, actually, if you want to give us some reviews now of your favorite stories as they come out, like if you want to do a review of that or season 22 when it arrives, send them in to us. Get them on the page. You're very, very welcome.
Fabulous idea. Richard Brooks just says a lot of laughing emojis there, directed in you there, Ian, and advises you to get a cornetto. Get a cornetto.
Next time, I'm going to get one just for JT. I'm going to.
He loves them. He eats them in a very strange manner, though. It's outrageous.
I do.
That's it. You may want to get a snack on the go right now, because we're going there. It's time for what they call in the cinema our feature presentation. We're going to talk about who's next. And a reminder to like, share, and subscribe. We've got a lot of people watching tonight, eager to hear these choices, Ian. They're eager to know who's next.
The pressure
from the it's what they call performance anxiety. So they tell me anyway, Barnaby. So they tell me.
One of us is going to get it right. One of us is going to get it right.
Oh no, we're not. There is no way we're going to get it. Mind you, I got it right twice. I got it right for Eccleston and Capaldi.
You did.
Yeah.
You did.
Thank you, Richard.
So, yeah.
You never know. You never know.
Yes, so the fact is, here we are again, this time in the history of the show, once more, where a new Time Lord is about to be. It's a bit like picking the new Pope, isn't it? We don't get we don't get the smoke coming out of the roof of the TARDIS or anything like that when a new Time Lord is revealed. But we
I'd say picking the Doctor is harder.
We get hysteria, everybody. Total and utter hysteria from the people who are pleased and the people who are not so when somebody is selected and added to the canon, for better or for worse. Who is going to be there? Who's going to make more childhoods? And what's going to happen from now? It is next to impossible. I think most of us picked that David Tennant was going to be the 10th Doctor, but apart from that, it's been a science, the pursuit of madmen. I think we even tried to pick which Doctors could be next when the job's not even going. That's how mad Doctor Who fans are. But of course, yes, it is.
That's a good sign in the actor doing it at the time, though, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it is 2022, and a new Doctor has allegedly been selected. And who knows when they're going to reveal that person? It was several months. It was several months after Jodie Whittaker was signed before they revealed her to the British
Can't
public.
imagine why they waited so long. Not nervous or anything like that.
And unfortunately, Simon, we can't make the time pass any faster for anybody while this agony continues, can we? I mean, why would we want to when this is so much fun, all this speculation in the time-honoured way that Doctor Who fans have always done? We're going to head over to Barnaby Jago for his first pick now.
Barnaby.
Who he would choose here. If you were casting the Doctor right now, Barnaby, here's your first choice. I want you to tell us about this gentleman and why you've picked him.
My first choice is Colin Salmon. I think he's an absolutely fantastic actor. He has actually been in Doctor Who before, as you all know, playing Dr. Moon. Yes, as a doctor himself in Sands in the Library and Forest of the Dead. And I think after seeing him in that and in other stuff as well, as he's also playing General Zod, I think, at the minute in the Krypton show. Cool. And also, of course, he's known for playing Robertson in the Bond movies. And I just think he could bring just such a suaveness and just an utter kind of like, I could see him being a new sort of Pertwee for the entire thing. I mean, he's a man of action. He's played action kind of like roles. Yep, we've even got the Resident Evil part there, which I think I didn't like that film at all, but I think he was probably one of the highlights of that entire film. He was great. I mean, and I think he was one of the first to be killed as well.
Yeah, he got cut into pieces, didn't he?
Cut into absolute pieces. So that would be a regeneration scene in itself.
He's also quite easy on the eye, isn't he? Yes.
He's very easy on the eyes, absolutely. And of course, he has that, he's got a wonderful voice as well. I think just that kind of, he starts talking as Zod or as Robertson, and you listen to what he says. He has control of the room. He can just bring audience.
He was a nobody as well, wasn't he?
He was. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I remember. It seems like he's been around. It seems like he's been around for. It seems like he's been around forever, Barnaby. He's 60 years of age, believe it or not.
Yeah. Black don't crack, mate. That's all I can say.
Another one of Ian's hashtags there. That's another truth bomb. But it does seem like he's been around forever too. The Bond film, he was there with the Pierce Brosnan era, wasn't he? He was in at least two of those movies, wasn't he, Barnaby?
Yes, and very, very familiar. And you always remember Robertson. You always remember him from those films. And just so cool, so suave, and just that voice. Sorry, that voice is just brilliant. Yep, there he is.
Yeah, and there he is as Dr. Moon. I mean, he's one of those actors. He's from Bethnal Green in London, Ian. So, it's not far from you, is it?
No, it's not. I actually met him once.
Oh, did you?
Really nice Here we go.
I'm just saying, he's very tall, though. He's incredibly tall, and he's a really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. So, yeah. I wouldn't mind if he became the Doctor at all.
I think he'd be brilliant.
How about his age? His age, though, Simon. I mean, what do you think? A 60-year-old Doctor? Colin carries it very, very well, doesn't he? Those 60 years.
I know he's looking good.
I'm all for an older Doctor. I still get frustrated that so many people deserted the show when Peter Capaldi arrived, who I still maintain is probably the best actor ever to take on the role, and so many deserting because he's too old, and it's just really I want an older actor because generally, as a rule of thumb, it is the older actors that have the gravitas that I think is required for the role.
Experience,
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I'm bring on an older actor. Yeah, totally.
Do you know if he does become the Doctor and he changes, he can't say, and I'm still not ginger, you'll be going, wait a moment, I've got no hair.
Bloody
It's
balls!
like, wow.
Where's it gone? Where's it gone, Colin? What's going on here?
And he's definitely, I can't believe he's 60. He looks
Neither could
cracking.
I. It
He
really
does,
surprised
he does.
me.
Yeah.
He's what I call a powerful actor, safe pair of hands. All those cliches are true when it comes to, and to be honest, I think he's always had that as well. I mean, he's 60 now. So that means the Bond films was like 25 years ago. He was in his mid 30s. He's always had this commanding confidence about him. You would trust him with absolutely anything, even when he's playing a bad guy, like you said there, Barnaby, in Krypton.
Yeah, even when he's there's a lot of pontificating, there's lots of shouting, but even then you're just hooked to what he's saying. Even that whole sort of like, kneel before Zod. I believe him. I wanted to kneel.
You do,
and I'd be happy to.
We'll move on.
he was good in that role. Grand Moff Miranda says could be the first bald Doctor as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I suppose his age rule, because I always thought he'd be a cracking Bond as well. So I suppose his age rules him out for Bond, doesn't it? Really, because Bonds tend to be in their 30s, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people.
Is he available?
A lot of people were keen on him for Bond for a while, as they were this guy. This is Charlotte Shields' first pick. So I think this is a very well-known face. But you tell us who this is anyway, Charlotte.
Yeah, this is Richard Armitage.
Oh, my nipples!
Give JT a minute.
Yeah, JT has to calm down. Because he's one that I've recently sort of thought, oh God, he'd be good. Because I think similar sort of vein, he's got a really good, strong screen presence. Whatever
Got a good look as well.
You
Definitely
really
got a
sort
good
of
look, yeah.
pay attention to
Those
him.
eyes, my God.
Being gaze.
Oh, yes, he's got a very striking look, and I do think a doctor it helps a doctor if they've got a striking look.
Yeah.
But the thing that I clicked about was on Netflix, because he's been doing a lot of Netflix stuff recently.
Yes, safe.
And that's the thing. That wasn't the thing that got me thinking. It was a voice role he did on Netflix. It was an animated show, Castlevania, where he was one of the leads.
Oh yeah,
I was in that.
And because I couldn't see him, I could just hear him. After hearing his character speak a couple of times, I was like, imagine a doctor with that voice giving a speech or giving a sort of look at me moment, like that sort of, like you said, the moments of you sort of everybody stops and listens. And I just think Richard's voice is perfect for that.
Intense
and I also
eyes.
think, and like I said, an intensity, because I do think the doctor needs that back really badly. We need a doctor that you can almost be scared off a little bit.
Yeah.
That you're a little bit wary of.
Yeah.
And I just think, and then on a more surface level, he's a well-known name, and I think he's not too A-list that he would never do it. But I think he's enough of a name that if that name got announced, people would, almost like Eccleston when he got announced.
Absolutely.
People would go, oh, I know him, because like you can see there, he was in Robin Hood. That's what I first saw him in.
And I think people can picture him immediately as the Doctor somehow, Charlotte. As you say, Robin Hood, he made a big impact in that role back in 2006 as Guy of Gisborne, opposite Jonas Armstrong in that show that ran for 3 years. I first saw him in Cold Feet, playing the oversexed swimming instructor who had an affair with Ramona, the nanny in that. He was in Spooks. He was an action hero.
That was it.
Agent.
Spooks.
Spooks in there. And the surprise pick as, because obviously, here's another one. He's a big bloke, Richard Armitage. He was a surprise pick as a dwarf in the Hobbit movies.
Yes. And he was brilliant in that. And he was also, when you might not remember this, but he was the character that ended the Vicar of Dibley.
Yes.
In a sense, because his character came in to marry Dawn French's character, the Vicar of Dibley, and it all tied up.
I recognised him, and I couldn't think where I'd seen him, and now again, he's brilliant in that. He does.
Peter Capaldi.
Peter
Capaldi also was one of those as well. Peter Capaldi.
He was earlier on,
Yes, he was. Yeah. He had shaggy hair then as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
full head of hair.
Another quick thing, he does dry wit very well in his characters.
Yes.
And I thought, wouldn't that be fun if we had a doctor that was a bit not funny, like comedy, like floppy over the top, sort of just a very dry-witted doctor that could have like a very quick comeback or a very quick one-liner.
Charlotte, this is a popular choice in the chat. He's got an amazing voice, says Kelly. and people recognizing him as Thorin there from the Hobbit movies.
He's very good at Thorin, though. Then he's all musky and rugged
on
and
his
hunky
looks.
and.
You'll have to fight Jamie
Stop
Knight
it,
for him there,
JT.
JT. I wouldn't say no. Says,
Got very warm in
Jamie
here
Knight.
suddenly.
Raymond Williams says that he's dripping with authority. That's Richard, not you, JT. Richard is
Oh, all right,
dripping with authority. Blue Bonnet Whovian says, I agree with Charlotte. Richard Armitage would be great. He's absolutely gorgeous. Has a gorgeous voice as well. Count me in for that. I love Richard Armitage from Lex World. Very, very popular choice. Obviously, he's a well-known face. Everybody likes him. He's he's already recorded appearances with Doctor Who on Big Finish. He's playing Rassilon for Big Finish at the moment, Charlotte.
Is he?
Apparently, he's
even know
loving
that.
doing that as well. Yeah, he's the new Rassilon in the Gallifrey series that they've got going on with Louise Jameson and Lalla Ward and all that sort of intrigue and espionage building up to the Time War over there. I've seen a little interview with him, a very, very short interview and sound bites from him where he says he's stoked to be doing the part and that he loves Doctor Who. But they all say that because this is a coveted role, even for an actor with his track record. He's always seems to be in demand, doesn't he, Barnaby?
He does, yes. Well, quite rightly as well. I mean, I think he'd make a brilliant Rassilon as well, actually. I need to listen to those now.
Yeah, I want to hear that now too, because he's older. Again, he's older than you think. He's 51 years old, English actor.
That's not old. That's my age. Put it off.
Oh, yeah, it's not old at all. Yeah.
But yeah, he's wearing it well, and the public really, really like him. Somebody
Yes,
I
they do.
also think the public like, or are they slightly intimidated by him? Is he one of those actors that people love to hate? I'm not sure. Now, this is my choice, my first choice. And people may think, oh, come on, Dan. Birmingham's king of the geeks, and you picked probably the most famous black country bloke in the entire world. Well,
Jasper Carrot.
Lenny Henry.
in my defence, this guy he may play a black country man, but he's actually from Ireland, and his name's Cillian Murphy.
Yeah,
He's the lead actor on Peaky Blinders, isn't he, Barnaby? He plays Thomas Shelby, as he has been for 4 or 5 series now. No, 6 seasons now. They're about to finish on that show, which means that he will be looking for gainful employment. Now, the reason why I've looked at this guy, the reason why I've looked at Mr. Murphy as a potential Doctor, tracks back right the way through my fandom. I remember back in '86, before Sylvester McCoy had been announced as the 7th Doctor, I wrote a list of actors in the back of my school exercise book who I wanted to see as the Doctor, Simon. Did you ever do that?
Of course, didn't everybody? And Kermit the Frog was always my first choice, probably in those days.
A lifetime's obsession. Now,
Absolutely.
obviously, Murphy wasn't on my list back then.
No.
But one actor who was John Hurt. I'd always thought John Hurt would make a great Doctor, and in many ways, I think that this actor is almost like a young John Hurt. He reminds me of John Hurt so much in the choices that he makes. You never know which roles he's going to take next. He seems to be able to play absolutely anything and everything. He's a great character actor, and he's been around for quite a long time now. He's older than you think. He's like 40.
He has a
49
weird
years
look,
old.
doesn't he? He has a
Yeah.
doctorish look.
Point.
Very alien look. Yeah.
He's also one of those actors that actually looks different in every single role
Exactly.
he plays.
Yeah.
The number of times I've seen him and not even realised it's him until further, and you say, "Oh right, I've just tweaked who it is," because he looks so completely different. My favourite role of his actually is the role he plays in Sunshine, the Danny Boyle film.
Yes.
And he's
Yes.
fantastic in
Yeah,
that.
that's a good show. He scared me to death as the Scarecrow in Batman.
Oh,
Yeah,
was
he's a good actor. It's a really good
It's a
actor.
beautiful
friend,
performance there, wasn't it? It was just so subtly mad.
And the reason
really
why
scared me.
I've circled him for the role, the best role in British TV, is firstly because he now will do TV. He's done plenty of movies. I mean, as you said, he was a very young man when he played the Scarecrow in Batman Begins, but he was excellent in the role, really convinced me as both the human side of the character and the villainous creature, the Scarecrow. He was really relatable in 28 Days Later, that sci-fi movie from Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
He went with Danny Boyle 2 or 3 times. Scary as all hell. In Wes Craven's film Red Eye, you can see him terrorising poor Rachel McAdams there. And obviously, he's now become pretty much a household name for those people that can pronounce it.
Plus, he wears a good flat cap. So, there you go.
Looks great
It's,
in a flat cap.
yeah,
And that's
looks great in a flat cap.
That's a look we're yet to have for the Doctor, Ian, but you're a big fan of the old flat cap, aren't you?
I am indeed. I am indeed.
The most exciting thing of all. I mean, genuinely, I do believe that this man is one of the few actors of this generation who is picking up that mantle of Sir John Hurt. The actors that we've lost. We probably have lost. Maybe the age of the huge movie star is over, Simon. But there are good actors, versatile actors. And as you said, I do not know what he'd do with the Doctor, but I find that really exciting.
Well, as I say, he is a character actor. There just aren't many character actors around anymore. There are actors around that just play the same kind of role over and over and over again. And to say every role he plays, it's a different role, and he plays it differently, and he looks different. That's a character actor. I would never have thought of Cillian Murphy. It's a brilliant choice. Well done.
As an actor, though, he's very intense. You can see he treats the art of performing very, very seriously. I've seen him being interviewed as well and stuff like that. So if he is cast as a Doctor, he would take it very seriously. He'll give it respect that it needs, and he'll give it gravitas as well. So
he's a bit of a Christopher Eccleston kind of actor on that level, isn't he? He brings
kind
that
of
intensity and seriousness to the role.
I think he's able to turn on the quirky in a much more naturalistic way than Chris can or could when he was playing the Doctor. Mark the Illusions says, yes, Dan, I've been saying Cillian Murphy for the Doctor since 2010. It's something that's only recently struck me. Several people have said, isn't he too busy with Peaky Blinders? No, Peaky Blinders, they finished production on that. Season 6 is going to be the last regular series. Apparently they're going to do movies of that going forward, but who knows what's going to happen to his character, whether he's going to make it out of Peaky Blinders. Heaven only knows. Yeah, the Darren Zone says Peaky Blinders has reached its final series. Maybe he'll be free. And Daniel Leach says, yes, the Doctor should be intense.
Yes.
Another unknown quantity next. Ian, this is your pick. Do you want to tell us who this guy is?
Oh, Jesus.
I know him.
Well, he was in, my brain's gone blank. What was that TV show that he was in? Sorry.
Alex Lorna.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was in that show there on the bottom left. Sorry, my mind's gone completely blank.
The end of the effing world.
Effing world, yeah. The reason, so this is this was my second choice. Don't know why this is up first, but the reason why I put him for the second choice is because if they decided to go younger with the Doctor, this guy would probably do a really good job because he's very unusual. His performance in The End of the Fucking World, is very unusual and very, very much troubled. He's a very much troubled man that's just really weird all the way through. So I think he'd make a really good Doctor if they're going youngish. He's a lot older now, of course, but I think
how old is he in?
I think he's in his.
He was born in 1995, so he's 27 years old.
Yeah. So if you're going to go young, that's the person I would go for.
1995.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
I was living in clubs in 1995 and waking up in a skip.
Yeah, he's what they call, I think, a jobbing actor. Even though he was one of two leads in The End of the Effing World, it is called effing and not fucking. Even though he's one of the leads in that, he's popping up in all sorts of other movies and TV shows in mostly support roles in period dramas. So he's played a young king in something else. So this is an actor that I hadn't even heard of this guy. But he's been in Black
his
Mirror,
face, though, eh?
Again for Netflix.
I know his face.
Yeah,
I'm
his face is very
I'm looking at these pictures and thinking, what's that one top right as an army? What's
I don't know that
yeah.
one.
That looks familiar to me.
Is the film of Howard's End, I think.
I've got to make it clear, right? The two people that I've picked, I know none of their histories, and I can't even remember their names either. But I will rely on my fellow men and women to fill in the blanks.
He could be one to watch though as well, couldn't he? Really, because it's nice to see these sort of actors that are gently and under the radar learning their craft.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me very much of the likes of Tom Baker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love the first two seasons at the end of the effing world. The first two seasons absolutely brilliant as far as and brilliantly directed as well. And I thought he was really good in it. And as I say, and I was thinking of someone, if they went young, I reckon that would not be a bad choice for him because he has an intensity about him. He has a very alienish kind of, because he was playing a psychopath in those 2 seasons, and he was really good. So there you go. So
if you can look so baby-faced and be able to turn that on, to flick that switch, then that probably is somebody worth watching. And 27, it's not that young. It's not like he's 19.
He looks
20.
young though.
He does look very young. Is he somebody that you've heard of, or you recognise him from anywhere, Charlotte?
No, but like I said, but young isn't bad. Like young gave us Matt, so it's like
right.
I don't think it should be a major stumbling block.
Yeah, I agree.
It also gave us Peter Davison. So,
Yes.
in Doctor Who, we've been there twice, and the challenge, I think, for both Peter and Matt was that whole thing about finding that essence of an old man trapped in a young man's body, which they both did beautifully.
Yeah.
And I think that would be great for any younger actor coming into the role in their late 20s, especially, to be able to say, right, how do I get that through? That's a great challenge, I feel, for an actor. And really builds the character and a performance, because it must be very frustrating to be young in that role.
It certainly will be if they do go young. That is, but somehow I don't think they are going to go young. But that was
I think they'll go middle-ish.
Yeah, that's what I reckon as well.
Yeah.
That was my second choice, Stan. My second choice.
We're coming back to that, Ian. Don't worry.
No, they're in no order. You never explained that to me, so
sorry.
Nobody else has done that. Lord Thoth says, great picks, everyone. We've barely even got started yet. The problem being, points out that Matt Smith was 27 when he took the role.
Yeah, he was.
And Matt Potts suggests that Russell T Davies is taking notes.
Hi, Russell.
We know that people are taking notes on this show. Cliff
Please
Maxwell
be
says,
good.
Cliff says Alex Lawther looks young for the part, but he's very similar to who I pick, Angus Imrie. Go and look him up. Look him up later after you've watched Type 40 Live. Like, share, and subscribe. And Matthew Powder says, I have DVDs. Older than that bloke.
Absolutely.
Okay. Over to you now, JT. I don't know if this is your first or second pick, but this is somebody I know people are going to recognise. And it's somebody whose name, I've got to be honest, I can't pronounce it either, but over to you.
Yes.
Ooh, now.
Yes,
You got my attention.
This is Aaron Rion, I think his name is, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong. He is Welsh, and I can never say it properly. I first came to know this young actor through Misfits, which I loved the first 3 series of Misfits, which was shown on E4, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he played a wonderful character called Simon Bellamy. And I love the way that Ian actually grabbed this character and progressed with the writing over the 3 series to the fact that he started from this very shy, hidden, unconfident character and became a superhero trapped in time. Oh, a spoiler. But, it's a beautiful story. And since then, of course, many of you will know him from Game of Thrones. He was also, he played Mick Mars in the Motley Crue movie, I believe, which is called The Dirt. And he also did...
Brilliant. He was amazing in that. Would never have picked him in a million years. Unrecognisable.
I haven't actually seen it yet. It's on my playlist to look at. He also did a comedy for ITV with... I can't remember what it's called now. Derek Jacobi was in it. Yeah,
it was called Vicious.
That's it. Well done.
Ian McKellen and Derek Jacobi. He was brilliant in that too.
I'm one of the few people that liked that series. I really quite liked it. Oh, good. I'm pleased because it got very bad reviews from the gay press, but nothing new there. I actually quite liked it because it was really... Oh, Jamie's just used my word there. It was vile. The Queen characters in it were vile, and I loved that because I was relating to them. So it's really quite fun. And so I would say, again, if they were going younger, there's a possibility. He was born in 1985, so he's 36. So by saying he's younger than me, Facebookers, you know what I mean?
He has a Matt Smith look, though, doesn't he? He kind of had a Matt Smith
actually,
look
you're
a
right.
bit. Yeah,
He does.
He's able to play mysterious, as he proved in Misfits. If you didn't see the first 3 series of Misfits, you missed out. It was wonderful, really wonderful. At the time, it really filled a gap for me in the science fiction market. And it was just brilliant, and it was natural as well as being off the wall, and he was just stunning in it. So yeah, and I'd also like to thank a couple of the Spacebookers for coming along and actually backing that one on
good
messages.
choice. Good
Yeah,
choice.
there's a lot of people saying yes, yes, yes. Yeppers from Carol Jude. Yes,
Hi,
yes,
Carol.
yes from Jamie Knight. Good choice. JT says problem being lots of people like this choice and lots of people loved him from Game of Thrones. He was one of the best villains. There was a lot of villains in Game of Thrones, wasn't there, Ian? But Ramsay Bolton was a very memorable character, a very, very, very nasty man. And, when I saw this picture, Simon, I can't help but be reminded. If you lose the hair, the face, the eyes, he reminds me of Patrick Troughton. He really does.
And keep the beard.
Really?
Yeah, I can.
He's got Barnaby's hair.
Just me.
Do you know
Just
what I
me
mean?
then. I
He's
just
got
see
Barnaby's
hair right now,
hair.
yeah.
No,
I see.
you're right about the eyes. I can see it in the eyes. I can see it in the eyes. Yeah, no, actually, bottom right. That bottom right picture. No, I can see what you're saying. I can see what you're saying.
It's the mystery, isn't it? I mean, he'll be able to look at a baddie and just go, "Come on, man, come on." With that real intent that I'm going to smash you in a doctory sort of way, if you know what I mean. He's going to be
Beatles haircut. That's what you need.
And my sister's just texted me. I'd just like to say hello to my sister who's texted me saying he was also in Our Girl.
He's been in a lot of things. That was the one with not Sheridan Smith, with Lacey Turner from EastEnders playing a soldier.
Oh yes, yeah. My sister loved that.
Michelle Keegan, I think, took it over when she left that. Good choice. JT says Richard Brooks. And Lord Thoth says he can certainly play the darkness.
Ooh,
inside.
That's what I was trying to convey. Well done, Lord Thoth. That's exactly what I was trying to say, and I didn't say it properly. You did.
Olivia says that you, Barnaby, and Olivia watched him in a film at Fright Fest. He was great. What was that?
Oh God, I can't remember the name of it, but it was have you guys heard of Fright Fest?
Yeah.
No.
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of like independent horror movies that are screened in a cinema in London, and he was there. And
wow, how fantastic!
And, he was really good. Oh, what was Liv? What was the name of it? Can you type up? I can't remember what it was. We saw so much stuff.
I might have
he was
his
brilliant
film
in
here.
that. He also played a very dark brooding character in that as well. When Olivia tells me what it is.
Inhumans, Riviera.
Inhumans.
He came a bit unstuck when he was in Marvel's Inhumans series because that failed pretty hard.
Show.
But the man has recovered his career very nicely from it and seems to be continuing to make great choices. And speaking of great choices, Simon, over to you for this one. And he's Welsh as well, which can't be a bad thing, can it? Who's this, Simon?
This Q.
I knew he was going to say this one. Do you know?
No, actually, see, I don't think. Okay, I actually don't think he's cute particularly, but I adore him as an actor, and I've been championing Ben Whishaw for so long. It's odd because in a way, Dan, you've picked the one photo that I think this is his worst performance at the moment. In this is
Bend over.
It's going to what's it
this
called?
Is a current series, isn't it?
It's what? Sorry.
This is a current series that he's
this
just
is the
made.
current series on. This is the current series on BBC One. It's for those that are still wondering. It's Ben Whishaw, if you're not certain. And I hate this. This current series is absolutely dreadful. I hate.
Is it really?
Yeah, I hate it with a passion. But Ben Whishaw is the best thing about it. But Ben Whishaw, again, actually, I mean, Ben Whishaw is most famous for playing Q in the modern Bonds. And I don't like him as Q. He's one of those actors.
Nor do I.
So I wouldn't propose him as Q at all. My love of Ben Whishaw actually dates back to a film called Perfume.
Yes,
Perfume: The Anatomy of a Murderer. And I'm just going to look at the story of a murderer. I apologise. Perfume: The Story of a Murderer. It's from 2005. And when I saw this back in the day, it's just like watching. This is clearly he's playing the Doctor. I really recommend anybody just go and find this film called Perfume: The Story of a Murderer. And tell me that he's not playing the Doctor. He looks like the Doctor. He acts like the Doctor. The character is like the Doctor. And it was that film alone that makes me say Ben Whishaw would just be absolutely stupendous. Isn't that funny? I've forgotten. He plays
Paddington.
Paddington.
Yeah.
Livens Flame mentions that film Perfume as well here in the chat on YouTube, Simon.
It's stunning. I can't recommend it enough. Just go and watch the film, and I defy anybody to not be blown away by his performance. And back in 2005, he was. Bear with me. He was. I'm just going to do my sums here. He was 25, and it's an absolute powerhouse performance. He's now 42. The answer to life, universe, and everything, which is good enough reason. And so he's that middling that we've just said it might be sort of a middling age that they go for. So he perfectly fits that middling. And again, he's like Cillian Murphy. He's another of those character actors that everything he plays, he plays it in a different way. He's very.
And Mary Poppins too, wasn't he?
Say again.
Mary Poppins
Mary
too.
Poppins. Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, it's really odd, that, Ian, because it's not the performance I would pick to sort of showcase Ben Whishaw as in Mary Poppins 2. I think he's actually miscast in that.
Of course he is.
It's too straight a role. It's too dull a role for this kind of actor. He's far more quirky. He's more off the wall. He's a little bit more eccentric, and that's why his performance in Perfume, that I know I keep going on about, but really just go and watch it because it's a very off the wall, eccentric performance.
This is a popular choice, Simon, with people watching in the chat. People really like him. Obviously, the drawback is that he recently spoke to Lorraine Kelly on ITV. She asked him directly about Doctor Who because he is a very Doctor Who-y kind of actor, isn't he? Paul McGann said back in the day, and he still says now, that Doctor Who is a hair part, Barnaby, a hair part. Yeah. And Ben Whishaw is a hair actor. Oh, he can get his hair to do all kinds of things. I mean, the thing that I've enjoyed him, I like him as Q. I really like that character. It's a complete ground-up reinvention of the character, but I think he's okay in that. It's perfectly fine. But the thing that I enjoyed him most in so far was Russell T Davies, A Very British Scandal, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. He was good in that.
He's incredible in that.
He is great in that. He's got an intensity, but he's very good at underplaying stuff as well. He brings that.
Oh, yes.
But it's all very controlled. The truth is, he knows what he's doing as an actor. He is absolutely in control.
Totally agree. You've got a picture of him there in the top right corner of him in Suffragette, where he plays a man of his time. And he plays it beautifully because this man is of his time. The character is... you would look at him now and say you're a nasty guy, but he was a man of his time, and he plays it beautifully. He understands what it is to be the man at the time. And I came away saying, I really don't like that character. Really don't like that character. And that's the art of an actor, isn't it? It's like, I really don't like you. Wonderful performance in that as well. Superb. Yeah.
And people do love him, even though we can't see him in those Paddington movies, Simon. People are mentioning Paddington quite a lot. He's really endeared himself to people in that role.
Love Paddington.
Yeah, I love Paddington. Yeah,
I never saw The Hours, that film about TV in the late 50s that he was in with Peter Capaldi. Apparently, it was a great show. It was one of those shows that was very well reviewed, but that nobody watched, and so it got cancelled after 2 seasons. Just when people tell me it was just starting to really get good when they took it off. But this is a story you hear quite a lot. It's a tragedy, I suppose, of TV all over the world that sometimes these great shows never become as great as they could be. And I believe he got Q off the back of that show. I can't. Oh,
really?
Remember.
Did he?
Yeah, it's going back a bit now. Obviously, it was well before Peter Capaldi played the Doctor and before he was in The Musketeers, which I think he was doing that. He was doing that when he found out they'd got the Doctor, wasn't he, JT?
Yeah, because his character suddenly died in the series.
I think a lot of people say that some actors can't play it because they're movie stars, but I think a lot of movie stars are moving towards TV anyway because of what's happening with Netflix.
Well, you're right. And I have to be honest, up until recently, I was kind of thinking Ben Whishaw would never touch the role. I've literally been gunning for Ben Whishaw since David Tennant was cast. I remember when Chris Eccleston left the role, I was thinking, please have Ben Whishaw, because by then I'd seen him in Perfume, which was out the year before. And every time the Doctor is cast, I'm praying that it's going to be Ben Whishaw. And I kind of got to the point of thinking, okay, look, now he's clearly too big. He's now in Bond films, etc. He's done movies. He won't do it. You're right. But now, Ian, you're correct, because they are coming to TV. And my faith was renewed with this BBC show that he's now in. I kind of thought, okay, he's clearly not averse to doing television. And in fact, BBC. So come on, Ben. I am keeping my fingers crossed for you on this. Finally.
Kelly here recommends watching The Hours. You must watch it. Whishaw is brilliant. Capaldi is brilliant, and the show is outstanding.
Yeah, it was good. I didn't realise they were for a second series. I only saw the first one. I didn't realise it was series 2.
Peter's brilliant.
The girl who's now the lead in the Handmaid's Tale show, she was also in that. It was everybody who was in it has gone on to lead something, to become household, even though I can't remember her name. That's awful, because I've seen in several things. She was in The Invisible Man as well. She's really great, and I can't quite remember her name. But all of them, there's like 4 or 5 actors in that. They've all gone on to big things. And talking about big things, there is a time, Eddie, hovering over the Type 40 console room as we speak. Just like in the Three Doctors, who can possibly be trapped inside this? We're gonna find out now, because this is turns out it's all the way from the Fandom Podcast Network, where Type 40 host Kyle Wagner is appearing to tell us his choice, his very first choice here. Who would he go for as the Doctor? We're going to find out with Kyle now. Yes, so we're here with Kyle Wagner from the Fandom Podcast Network for the first of his picks for the 14th Doctor. Who next, Kyle? Who next?
Okay, well, you guys were having this conversation in chat, and that, being over here in the United States and the time difference and a very busy time for me to work, I'm like, no, I have to get some opinions in on this, because, this might be the most important Doctor
Elizabeth Moss.
That's how I feel about it. This is going to change everything. And, I think I also feel like, and Dan, you can tell me if I'm wrong, this is the most unknown casting. Like, nobody really has a true idea of what's going on. There's so much speculation, but I just think Russell has somebody in mind, and we're just going to be like, okay, that was out of left field.
I think that's quite likely. I think that's one of the reasons why it's so exciting, the unpredictability of it. But it's also one of the things that's so frightening about it. That, numerous people in Type 40 Live have said this already. You can't help but feel that we're sort of right on the edge of a cliff here. And whichever way it's going to go, we'll be compelled
at the time,
to
it's
watch.
not great, is it?
But it's both frightening and exciting at the same time. But as Doctor Who fans, we've never not got our eyes on future candidates. Who's your first pick for who you think could be the one to be number 14?
My first pick is somebody who has really just exploded on the scene, especially here in the U.S., and that is Freddy Stroma. Now, if you're not familiar with Freddy, he's done a few things, including some Harry Potter, Pitch Perfect. He's done a show called The Crew. He did Time After Time, where he played H.G. Wells, which I believe isn't that what you have up on the screen right now, Mr.
That's
Bradley?
the one. Yeah, he was the lead of that show, wasn't it? It was a network show. I think it only lasted one season, didn't it? But he was still the lead.
But he has recently blown up huge here in the U.S. with a little HBO Max show directed by one James Gunn, Peacemaker. All right, have you had a chance to watch this yet, Dan?
I haven't, no. And you know me, I love the DC universe. I'm very much a DC man, but I haven't seen this show yet. I read Vigilante back in the day. I know that's who he's playing, this DC character, this fringe character, really. But he makes an impact in this role?
Oh, he steals the show at times, which is saying something, because one, John Cena is absolutely phenomenal as the Peacemaker in this, but he's playing the vigilante up, but he's playing him up with a little bit more of a comedy, really kind of demented angle. But he is just absolutely energetic and amazing. And I think if they were going to think of going with somebody who's a little more youthful as the Doctor, I think he could really pull off a very interesting Doctor who's maybe. He's got a little bit of that snarky to him, but he's also got, I think, the chops to play the Doctor. And I think
are you suggesting that he brings a little of Deadpool's energy to Vigilante, and maybe that could translate to the Doctor as well?
Oh, a little bit, yes. Plus, at least with Vigilante too, he plays up a lot of naivety to things, and I think that's something the Doctor does. In certain aspects, he plays up naivety, being naive to things when he really isn't. And I think that's something he did very well in Peacemaker. And I think he could bring that to the Doctor, but still play the more serious thing. Obviously, he's done the H.G. Wells and a few other things there. But yeah, I think he's an up and comer. He's not a superstar yet, but he is definitely on the path. But I think he would be somebody who could come in as a Doctor. People would recognize his face. And I think you would pull in the U.S. audience from this because of what he did in Peacemaker.
I see. Well, I've been looking at his credentials. I'd not heard of this guy, and I didn't think I'd seen him, but it turns out that I have in several things. It says he's a graduate of the National Youth Theatre. He was born in 1987. So, he's at about the right age, really, I feel there. So, he's about 35. And he came up through shows like Casualty in the UK, all the shows you'd expect to find a young actor on, and had that sort of recurring role in the Harry Potter movie series. He was in 4321, which was a Noel Clarke film, and in The In-Betweeners 2 as well. So these are more British films. But as you say, he's currently in the Peacemaker show. But this is just one, the latest of several US shows, big series that he's been, if not the lead of, then pretty much in the centre of. He started out on a show called Unreal for the US network. And it was whilst working on that, he met his future wife. He appeared in an episode of Game of Thrones. He led Time After Time, after you've said. And he's just done a 3 or 4 episode stint on that big Netflix show, Bridgerton, which I haven't seen, but it was a massive success last year. So he seems right on the edge of being a name, doesn't he?
Yeah, oh, very much so. And that's what I think it's one of the cases where, sometimes I know they like to go with a relative unknown, but he reminds me a lot of Tennant in the aspect we knew who David Tennant kind of was, but he hadn't hit that really big time yet.
Yeah.
And I think we could get that with Freddy. I think he's a little bigger now thanks to Peacemaker, because that's getting a lot of international attention, but still he isn't the star of that show, but he is phenomenal in it. And like I said, I think he would bring a great energy and kind of get us back from what we had with Capaldi and Jodie, where you had some differences, getting us back to maybe more on that line where everybody was swarming to the Doctor because he was a younger Doctor. He had some energy to him.
So
and
I've never seen Unreal,
like I said, I think he would be great at helping reconnect the U.S. audience to Doctor Who, because I really feel that's been one of the biggest things that's been lost ever since Matt Smith left the show. I think there was a drop off with Capaldi, but people kind of stuck through it. But by the end of the Capaldi run, and definitely with the Jodie run, the U.S. audience has just taken a nosedive.
This is a really interesting pick. It does seem like this guy, if not being a chameleon, he's certainly done enough diverse things to make him very, very interesting as a prospect to take on the role of the Time Lord. Kyle, I think that's a really interesting choice. Thank you. We'll be coming back to you again in a little while. Cheers, Kyle. Yes, the time Eddie has disappeared. Now, thanks again for that, Kyle. I've never heard of Freddy Stroma. Have any of you?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Barnaby?
Yeah, saw him in Time After Time, and he was very, very doctorish, actually, and really, really very good. That was a very good choice, actually. I do agree with that.
It's a nice choice, that one. I knew him from Harry Potter.
Yes.
Richard Brooks asks, is it a cornetto that is Ian eating? Not this
popcorn.
time.
Popcorn.
Not this time, it seems. Okay, yes, it's that time of the show, everybody, where although Ian is eating, he may want now to take that trip to the little boys' room, because we've reached that point in the show where we have a break. We have a lovely break. So please like the video and subscribe to the channel now before you forget. Got a lot of people watching tonight, loving all the comments. Keep them coming. Most of the choices we've made have gone down fairly well too. But I don't think this is going to go down quite so well. Now, recently, over in the Type 40 Facebook group, say hello to everybody over there. Hello. Yes, I teased JT a monomental announcement, and people got a little bit excited because I used a picture of Paul McGann.
A little bit. You caused a ruckus on Facebook. I was like, oh my God, what's he doing?
Because I used a picture of Paul
McGann.
That Paul McGann was coming on. He isn't. But with the monumental announcement is that we have reached that point, the point that we were bound to get to with the Type 40 ad break that, we love it and you love it. But these are our commercial classics that we put into every show, 2 or 3 minutes worth for you to go back in time and look at Doctor Who actors or just hear Doctor Who actors pimping other items like cornettos, for example, Ian, and we've been doing this for months, the best part of a year, in fact. But sadly, it's somewhat of a finite reserve, and tonight's selection does represent the final full collection of new to you and new to Type 40 Live ads that I could find. I'm not saying that others aren't going to turn up. They may well do. But from this point onwards, I can't guarantee that there will be no repeats going forward. So
this is the disclaimer.
That's the disclaimer.
Sounds like the BBC, doesn't it? It's outrageous.
The ad break is something that I know people love about the show, and I love doing it too. I love seeing them. I love laughing about them. But there will be more adverts coming along. Others may turn up, and there will be special themed ad breaks to go along with certain shows too. But this is the last selection of completely new Doctor Who ads with us at Type 40 Live for the foreseeable future. So, yes, if you've got to go and take a wee, have a man wee or whatever, and go and do that. Everybody else, sit and watch. Sit and watch the ads here on Type 40 Live. One last time, 3 minutes worth of new to you ads. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes.
Roviti.
Around the world, there are many extravagant ways of preparing food. But the latest cookers at your local gas showroom are probably more to your taste. We've the elegant Parkinson Cow and Prospect, for instance, at £389 delivered and fitted. Plus skilled advice, a year's guarantee, and expert servicing. We've also, of course, the widest range of gas cookers in town. So why go anywhere else? It's all at your local gas showroom.
Have you got a little...
Hello, love. See, you and Dave got married then? Got just what you need for supper. Tender beef simmered in its own gravy with a tasty pie crust.
Oh, but I've never made a pie.
No, and you never have to. Fray Bentos steak and kidney pie, just like his mother's. She buys them here, too.
UK Gold. Prime time, all the time.
It's about time.
Good day. We just put in these plug-in sockets, and you can have a new telecom phone in every room. Now, this model has auto-dialing, an alarm, and a calculator. And may I suggest this hands-free telephone in matching colors for the bedroom?
Yeah, that'll be the story for the bedroom.
Telecom are working overtime to get your new telecom telephones to you. When this brochure arrives in the mail, we're in your neighborhood. You can even have one in the loo if you like.
G'day. Is that you, Barry?
We're back here at Type 40 Live. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that selection of fantastic adverts here with us. I don't know if Peter's finished there in the loop, but we're all back. Most of us are back, just waiting on Simon Horton.
No, I'm there.
There he is.
Come on, sorry.
Which is handy because you've mislaid it, hadn't you? You've forgotten to bring it, hadn't you? But you've got it. It's here. That little leather-bound volume that is known as the Doctor Who Diary. I'm looking forward to this. What can be within its pages this time? I hear you all cry. Time for a bit of nostalgia, a little bit of a break from our picks of Doctors to go back through Doctor Who past, the recent past or the faraway past with Simon Horton and the Doctor Who Diary.
Yes, here we go, Space Bookers. We're off again on the Doctor Who Diary. Yes. So, what can we tell you about this week in history? Well, there's lots and lots, as always. 24 new episodes again this week. Gosh, Frontier in Space Episode 2. Frontier in Space Episode 2 you would have been watching, back in 1973, but we're not interested in that one. Seeds of Death Part 6, Mind of Evil Part 6, Sea Devils Part 2. There's lots of them. But the one we're going to talk about first this week is Legopolis Part 1, which was screening 41 years ago this week in 1981, the first part of Legopolis by Christopher H. Bidmead. Of course, Tom Baker's swan song. One of my favourite stories. I absolutely adore Legopolis, and this episode in particular, episode 1, is to me just stunning. It's very, very off the wall. It's very unusual and strange for a non-normal, for a non-standard for a Doctor Who episode, but I love it. Legopolis, for those that might be interested, translates from the Greek as city of speech. Did you see what Christopher H. Bidmead did there? And it's
I hadn't noticed that, actually.
It's directed with great panache by Peter Grimwade. What's interesting about this one, you'll see there that we end up with the new companion, Janet Fielding, as Tegan, as you'll see from the Radio Times listing there. What's interesting, of course, about this particular episode is that ANT, John Nathan-Turner, the producer at the time, tried for this season and this story in particular to bring back Sarah Jane Smith, played by Elizabeth Sladen, or Louise Jameson as Leela. tried to bring them both back, and they both turned him down.
Several BBC lunches there, Simon.
Yeah. Interesting, Louise Jameson has since said maybe it wasn't the best decision she ever made. I think she quite realised that John Nathan Turner was looking at it as a more long-term approach. I think she thought it was going to be a bit of a sneeze, and she's been and gone. So anyway, instead of Sarah or Leela back, we got Janet Fielding as a new companion, and then of course Lissa turns up later in the story. And what I think is really interesting about this particular story is my favourite part of this opening episode 1, which I still, as I say, think is stunning, is the TARDIS within a TARDIS, where the Doctor and Adric are just passing through each progressive TARDIS, and as they go through each one, it gets darker and more echoey. The atmosphere is just beautiful, and it was actually inspired. Chris Bidmead, the writer, took the inspiration from the previous story, The Keeper of Traken, because that, of course, had the Melkur as a TARDIS, but then the Master had his own TARDIS inside.
Extension of the same idea.
And so that was what sort of sparked the idea in Chris Bidmead.
Freaked me out when I was a kid. Nothing felt safer than the TARDIS, Barnaby, than the inside of the TARDIS. And so to see the colour of the interior change and another TARDIS inside that TARDIS blew my little mind.
Yeah, freaky.
It was really, really freaky at the time. You can see the TARDIS here that they actually used the previous TARDIS that had recently been retired from use, and they'd made a new one, and so they obviously had to bring back into play the original one. But the original plan, of course, had been to use the real police box that was sitting by the Barnet bypass. And that apparently that was just vandalised shortly before production, so they had to change a plan, or it might even be. I think it was vandalised, and then as a result of being vandalised, it was demolished just before production started. So as a result, this is not the Barnet bypass. They moved location and moved on. My very favourite fun fact for this particular episode is the filming at Aunt Vanessa's house, which is not far away from Cadogan Pier, where they film on episode 2 when the TARDIS arrives on the pier in the middle of the Thames. And Aunt Vanessa's house is just around the corner from that. And they planned to film at a specific house, but unfortunately on the day of filming they couldn't actually find the owner of the house, who had gone out for the day. And so instead they popped down the road to the house of Andrew McCulloch, who had written Meglos earlier on in the series. So Auntie Vanessa,
they just knocked him up.
Yeah, because they knew him, because he'd been in production with them on Meglos earlier on in the season. They literally knocked on his door and said, "Sorry, can we use your house, please, as Auntie Vanessa's exterior?" And this
is the kind of goal that we created the Doctor Who diary for. What else have we got, Simon?
Okay, well, 40 years ago, i.e. 1 year later, in the following season, we get an entire story, Black Orchid. Both parts in one week. In this week in 1982, 40 years ago exactly, was Black Orchid. And this is an interesting story because, of course, this is the very, very, very first historical story since the Highlanders, which was 16 years before. I mean, it's difficult. It's not really historical in that the original black and white years used to do historical stories where they would center them around a particular event in time. And that's not the case in Black Orchid. It's merely that they just borrow, they go back in time. And it's a story set in the past without any science fiction trappings, apart from obviously the TARDIS. It's written by Terence Dudley, who, by a coincidence, had directed Meglos that we were just talking about a moment ago. Terence,
I thought you were going to say by coincidence he came from Dudley then. Go on, carry on. Ignore my nonsense.
He had directed Meglos the year before, and he'd written forward to Doomsday in the same year as Black Orchid, and he then went on to write King's Demons.
I way prefer this.
After that. This was directed by Ron Jones, which was his first of 6 stories. And it was the first 2-parter since the Sontaran experiment in 1975. Now, the only one of the regulars that actually liked this story really was Sarah Sutton. I can't imagine why. It could be because she gets to play 2 parts in this.
She get 2 fees.
And a rough guess. No, I don't think she got 2 V's, bless her. But apparently the other regulars didn't really like it. Peter Davies in particular thought it was weak. He claimed that Terence Dudley told him that the script had originally been written for a murder mystery TV series, and he just found it in a bottom drawer and basically recycled it as a Doctor Who story. So I think Peter Davison was really not keen on it, whereas apparently it was one of J&T's favourites, and the audience loved it because it got 10 million viewers. So they were clearly doing something right. I love it. Does anybody else like it? I
really like it.
It's Doctor Who.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I've not seen it yet. It's one of those that I've not got around to yet.
Oh, it's very good. The first and last time Peter plays cricket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And at the time as well, back in 1982, this was totally different because it was in history. It was a 2-parter. It was the sort of the TARDIS crew sort of trying to relax and getting involved in something that was going to happen anyway there. I remember just feeling it was a very different sort of story, you know. I love it.
It felt like a breath of fresh air, JT, in a way. In a good way. Not that I adore the whole of season 19.
But again, it was different because it was a new Doctor as well. Tom wouldn't have carried that show off.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
Can you imagine, JT? Tom going through that? He would have just glowered the whole way through, wouldn't he? You know.
Yeah. Whip it dung.
Yeah. Whereas Peter kind of just goes with it because he's very suited to that whole
It's getting a 50-50 reaction in the chat here, Simon. The people seem to either love it or not hate it, but love it or be generally nonplussed, indifferent.
It shows my point that I've made before when we talked about the Fifth Doctor. The Fifth Doctor was suited to history because he just gets in there.
Yeah,
there he is. Bang. You know, I love that about the Fifth Doctor. You know, he suits history.
This is my era, and I can, by my own admission, I'm not objective at all about this. I can see no flaw in the entirety of season 19 or 20 or 21, really. I'm the wrong person to ask. But yeah, I love that. What else have we got in the diary this time?
Well, we've got a few birthdays this week. A few birthdays. A couple to mention. Michael Troughton, 67 this week. Stephen Thorne would have been 87. Matt Lucas, he's 48. Roger Delgado would have been 105 this week.
Wow.
But what we're talking about, what we're going to talk about is Murray Gold, who was 53 on Monday. The composer between 2005 and 2017. An incredible 144 episodes this guy did. Prolific, I think, is an understatement. He also did half a dozen different theme arrangements, not only of the Doctor Who theme, but he then went on to do the totally Doctor Who theme, Confidential, Doctor Who Extra. He then did Torchwood, Sarah Jane Adventures. It's literally, his list goes on and on and on.
Do we know why he left after
2017?
He was basically... I think a kind of way of saying is that basically Chris Chibnall came in and new brooms sweep clean and all the rest of it. And to be honest, that's one of the things that I would agree with Chris Chibnall. I agree. I think it was time for a change in the same way that when John Nathan Turner basically kicked dear old Dudley Simpson out, it was time for a change. I think it was the right decision. Personally, 144 episodes. I think we're ready for a bit of change.
And also,
that's a big thing.
Let's thank him as well for those wonderful concerts and the shows that went on around the country. We hadn't had those before, and we will never get them again unless somebody makes an impression in the all new Who. But they were special times. I mean, standing in Albert Hall listening to all that sort of stuff, or going to see the travelling show based on his music. Goosebumps. Never had that before.
There were goosebumps. I can still remember one of my favourite bits from those concerts. JT was the vocal performance for Rose's theme for Doomsday. I mean, it's just a stunning performance. I think the thing is, with Murray Gold, I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Murray Gold. I think sometimes he simply didn't know when to stop adding music, and there's just too much music in my estimation on some episodes. But
he needed the album sales, Simon.
He does beautiful themes. The character themes that he writes for people always felt his theme for Matt Smith's Doctor is just superb.
I have to say that people in the chat watching on YouTube and Facebook, Murray has a lot of fans, very loyal fans, admirers in the Doctor Who community.
Absolutely.
I think that long stint, JT, that legacy. This man's made a massive contribution by any standards to Doctor Who, hasn't he? So it's understandable that people listen.
Yeah, and also I would say outside of the Doctor Who community, because every now and then on Classic FM they will play one of his themes.
Really?
What from Doctor Who is that? You
Absolutely,
Really?
they've played all sorts of stuff throughout the last 10 years.
He got 4, but he's never won a BAFTA, I don't think, but he certainly had 4 nominations for BAFTAs. So well deserved. As I say, he's done some. Interestingly, the very first series of Christopher Eccleston series, 2005, that's all done electronically. He did all of that. Whereas by the time we get onto series 2, that's when they bring in the orchestra and
they have the budget.
The delightfully like a Crouch End Choir. That was what he used. The Crouch End Choir.
The infamous Crouch End Choir. Yeah.
Specifically the Dalek parts. And of course, let's not forget, he makes a brief cameo in Voyage of the Damned as a guitarist. So he gets his little on-screen cameo. So he's in good company.
Unsurprisingly, our viewers are listing, trading their favourite Murray Gold tracks, see the titles of them as we give him a salute there. Any other birthdays we should do?
Yeah, absolutely. 52 yesterday was Alexander Armstrong. We actually mentioned Ben Miller last week. It was Ben Miller's birthday last week. We talked about him. Yes. This week, it's actually Alexander Henry Fenwick Armstrong, to give him his full title. He was 52 yesterday. And of course, we know him as playing Reg Arwell in The Doctor, the Widow and the Wardrobe from 2007, a part that he was literally born to play, because he plays the stiff upper lip RAF bomber pilot. I mean, you can't think of anybody actually better to play that particular part. I must be honest, I'm not a big fan of him on Pointless. I don't think he makes a good presenter particularly.
Me neither. He seems like an actor playing the part of a game show host.
Yeah, I agree, and he never quite knows.
I know he's been doing it for quite a long time, so the joke's on me, really. But
it clearly worked. But he seems to me the kind of person that needs a script. And give him a script, and he's great. But he just doesn't seem to quite know what to say without. But
I'm going to mention it again. He's also a presenter on Classic FM.
He is. You're quite right. Well done.
Tune in because he's very good.
Two mentions, and of course, as you've got the photo.
Yeah, they sent me an album or something.
Don't forget, he plays Mr. Smith in the Sarah Jane Adventures, which amazingly, I didn't actually twig that until probably about halfway through the run. I've just twigged who it is.
Who that is.
And he played that part for 33 episodes. So, and also the part I loved him in was he played the nephew of Audrey Forbes Hamilton in the Christmas special from 2007. Did he? To The Man Born, and again, just a part that he was born to play. I'm
going to have to go and look that one up. I didn't know that. I still love that show.
Isn't it cracking? And
I loved it.
Today's fun fact for Alexander Armstrong, who, by the way, I got to work with, as I mentioned last week with Ben Miller. I worked with them both before they were famous. But then his fun fact is that he is the second cousin of Imogen Stubbs. Who knew? Who knew?
I didn't know that. No, that's great.
So there you go.
I'd forgotten all about Imogen Stubbs. I used to have a bit of a crush on her. I don't know what she's doing now. I haven't seen her on TV for years, but she was
not been around for a while. But anyway,
happy
52
birthday,
yesterday
Alexander.
was Alexander.
Henry
Fenwick Armstrong. Happy birthday to you. Very finally, we would be wishing today a very happy birthday to the great John Woodner, who would have been 98 today. Of course, as you can see there, he played. First of all, he was in Doctor Who 3 times. Hibbert there from Spearhead from Space on the left. Well, actually, he was 4 times. I've forgotten. He was also the Draconian Emperor in Frontier in Space.
That's right. Yes.
Seron in Traken, the Keeper of Traken, as you can see on the right-hand side there. But the middle one, that is the one that certainly I remember.
That's the part, isn't it?
That's the part.
Yes.
That's the Duke of Forgill from Terror of the Zygons. And of course, he was Broton then. He was under all the latex as Broton in Terror of the Zygons. And boy, as a 6-year-old, I was absolutely terrified by his performance as Broton. It still sends shivers.
Yeah, it's still chilling.
In many ways, I think it was just the absolute. It's the textbook example of how to play a monster, because all he's got is his voice, but boy, does he use that voice. It's quite breathtaking. He was
became iconic, didn't it?
Say again, sorry, JT.
It became iconic. He made it iconic.
Oh.
You know?
And that's why we're still talking about Broton to this day, even though he was only ever in 3 episodes. It's remarkable. He was born in London. John Woodnett was born in London in 1924, died sadly in 2006, aged 81. And again, as with a lot of these actors that we talk about each week, his list of credits is as long as you're on. Played Shakespeare. He performed Shakespeare. He played Henry VII in The Six Wives of Henry VIII alongside Patrick Troughton. He was in Jeeves and Wooster, Nightmare, the kids ITV show Nightmare. He was in Zcars, The Avengers, The Tomorrow People. What TV show wasn't he in? And again, we've talked about character actors today, and this is one of those absolute classic cast iron character actors that we sadly miss, and say, yeah, John Woodnett would have been 98.
Like Michael Sheard is one of Doctor Who's best known faces, whoever he was playing, wherever he was popping up. And I just associate him. I'm sure people have been mentioning his other roles. Matt Partners asked about him being in Dad's Army, the movie. I can't remember him being in that, but I'm certainly probably was. Apparently, he was in Jeeves and Wooster as well. I've never seen Jeeves and Wooster, but I probably should.
Watkin.
Yep.
We can even name the part. I know he's been dead about 10 or 15 years, isn't he? He
2006. He died, aged 81.
Was a wonderful actor, and as you say, Simon, much missed. Definitely deserves his place in the annals of Doctor Who greats. I include not just the Doctors and the Companions, but the people who came back, JT, over and over and over again, like repertory style.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's those people that we do miss because he made a real impact with his 4 characters, you know. And as you said on the caption there, again, the viewers would go, "I know that guy."
Yeah,
because he was on everything, and it was great, wonderful.
It's the guy. It's the bloke. And thank you to the bloke with the diary. That was another captivating instalment to all our yesterdays. And for the people out there who came along later, maybe temptation to go and pre-order. Go and order, Black Orchid. It's already out on Blu-ray too, isn't it? In the season 19 box set. Go and root that out. Yeah, it's out there and freely available on BritBox too. Boot it up on BritBox and perfect your Charleston with Janet Fielding. Thanks again, Simon. We're going to head back now to talk about the rest of our picks for the Doctor on Who's Next. We're back here, everybody. This is the second round of picks, our picks for who we would choose, specifically who we would choose, rather than who Russell T Davies will choose. We can't possibly know who he's. Yeah, I know. Who cares about him? He's old news. This is where it matters, and these are the Doctors, these choices, and I'm pretty sure that Russell has picked his Doctor already, but I bet he's watching, and I bet he's thinking, you buggers. And he's thinking about making a phone call, and an arrangement with an agent could well happen once we get through the second round of our selections here. They have our selections for the next Doctor. Who's next? Barnaby Jago. Who's next?
Barnaby Jago. It is the one, the only James Callis, Gaius Baltar from Battlestar Galactica, an amazing actor. I love him. He was also in Bridget Jones's Diary, playing one of the friends, whose name I have.
One of the friends
somewhere. one of the friends. Tom in Bridget Jones's Diary. He played him, and he would bring, in my opinion, he's a very much the opposite of Colin Salmon. He could be very, very jerky and all over the place. So much energy in his performance. And particularly playing Gaius Baltar in the reimagined
I agree, Barnaby.
A career-making part, wasn't it, Simon?
Did he play Freddie Mercury at any chance? And he looks like Freddie Mercury up there.
Not to my knowledge.
Not yet.
Not that I know of.
James is 51 years old, so if they do get round to making that Bohemian Rhapsody sequel, Simon, and Ricky Malik is too young.
You're right, Barnaby. He's got quite a manic, unpredictable style to his performance. It's quite unhinged. Certainly in Battlestar Galactica, he's quite unhinged.
And I think he still carries that on later on.
Yeah.
In something that I saw him in. I think it was the last television thing. I think I saw him in House by the Lake. He still had that kind of craziness sort of about him, and he could just sort of snap like that. So I see that kind of eccentricity within him.
Yeah,
and also a little bit of darkness as well. Yeah.
He's also quite stylish and dashing, isn't he? He's got that.
Looks about David Tennant there on the right, doesn't he? A bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Another hair actor for a while. He was in the Merlin series on the BBC. He turns up in a lot of things. He's back in London now, I believe. He's originally from Hampstead in London. So 51 years old, graduate of the University of York. So it's all very British, all very English. And he's still got a massive following from Battlestar Galactica, which must have finished good 12,
I'm one of them.
12, 14 years ago. It's like Firefly. It's got a really loyal following. Obviously, Battlestar Galactica was on screen for a lot longer. But this was a career-making part. And I don't really understand Barnaby. I suppose he's gone more into character parts, hasn't he? But to me, I'm still always a little surprised that he wasn't a major movie actor after his turn.
Yeah.
And he's still got time.
So good as well.
Still got time. Yeah, he's still got time. You never know. It just takes one role, doesn't it, to actually,
absolutely push them on. Yeah.
People here in the chat, like Robert Payne, doesn't think that being 51 necessily excludes these actors.
Absolutely, Robert.
The Doctor.
I'm very much in favour of an older Doctor playing. I still think
I'm the
Capaldi
same.
is the best. I still think Peter Capaldi is the best of the new Who cast.
Because
I think there has to be, not that a younger actor can't bring gravitas at all, but there's just something. I'm so used to seeing like an older Doctor. Maybe it's because I started in the 60s and things like that, watching the old 60s episodes. So maybe I'm just too used to that. But I just feel like an older actor to kind of like bring it in is what I would love.
Yeah, I agree.
Problem being mentions, I want a dashing Doctor. That word's turning up quite a lot in the chat here on YouTube, and people do agree with you about this actor. Richard Brooks says, yes, dashing and romantic with an enthusiasm inspired by his companions. That does seem to be what people want. Crimpling to Balloons, he looks like Franco Nero there in that picture at the top.
A bit, yeah.
I was going to say, is that from the Musketeers? Because he did do like a one-off character in the Musketeers. I thought so.
Look,
and he was
David
like a bit
Tennant,
of a not very nice
Freddie
character
Mercury,
in
and a Ghostbuster. That's what it looks like he's been playing, isn't it? At the bottom, it's like he's a Ghostbuster. Crazy.
Maybe he got that Carpathian down there.
Yes, could be. Yeah.
I understand he does a lot of theatre as well, and maybe it is time to get him back on TV in a part, and maybe it could well be the part. Moons of Madness also prefers an older Doctor here. That's going down quite well. James A. Fitzpatrick said, I loved Capaldi when he would be cranky. I am younger. That's from the Twice Upon a Time episode, isn't it? And again, that word dashing what about a drashig?
Drashig. I don't want a drashig.
And Wendology from the Department of Wendology says that he's got the quirky alienness needed for the role of the Doctor. Daniel Leach simply says, brilliant choice. Barnaby.
Yes.
From one choice.
He can personify quirkiness, I think. I mean, particularly as Gaius, as Gaius completely.
Yeah.
No more Mr. Nice Gaius. I want to rewatch it now.
We don't really know what an actor like that would do with the Doctor, because he's I suppose that's the knack. Ian, you talk about this a lot. That ability to go from being like your best friend and somebody you would trust with anything, you feel completely safe with them, to just in the blink of an eye, we wonder what they're capable of. And I think that James Callis could absolutely do that.
All the actors been picked could bring that to the role so far. All the actors,
unpredictability so far. Every one of them has an element we don't understand or know or have seen yet.
Isn't it interesting that every single actor we've talked about so far, you just kind of think, gosh, it could have been so different, couldn't it, the last 3 years? Couldn't it?
It could have been watchable. It could have been watchable. But whilst we were suffering there, this actor was enjoying a role in one of the biggest shows on TV, wasn't he, Charlotte? Did you want to tell us all who this is and where you found it?
Oh, I know him.
Yeah, this is Martin Compston. He's a Scottish actor, so that's probably why JT knows him. And
he's from your show, isn't he? He's from your detective show.
This is Line of Duty that got me thinking, because he plays a part which on paper looks quite simple, looks quite sort of run of the mill. He sort of plays this very cocky, very sure of himself detective who sort of is a bit too, he just goes in without thinking and then consequences happen. But Martin brings layers, and he brings so much more complexity, I think, in that role. And something that I've been saying for years, which is the Doctor needs to have non-verbal acting. You need to be able to not rely on the script and just let them act. Yeah. And Martin is so good with that. There's been so many scenes in Line of Duty where he's not had dialogue, and it's been very emotional, some of the storylines he's been given, and he's just done it. Wow. And I really think what the Doctor I could see him play is almost something a little bit in the line of late Sylvester Doctor. So the sort of, no, late Sylvester. So the
shut up, Ian.
No, so a doctor that's a bit of a trickster. That can be a bit manipulative. That can be, if you really cross him, you're gonna feel it and you're gonna regret it. And I just think also because he's not that odd looking, so I think it would be interesting to have a Doctor that can slip into the background a bit, that isn't attention grabbing when you see him, but then he can just grab you and he can scare you almost and just go, oh God, okay. And I just think Martin's got that in Line of Duty and some other stuff, because he's played some really not very nice characters. He's played a really famous serial killer who was Scottish. I've not watched it, but people say he was really sort of eerie in that role. People who knew the actual real life person he was playing. And also, I think he's not too young. We were sort of saying, I think he's a good middle ground. He's not too young and he's not too old. So I just think he would be a good pick for also. Line of Duty's massive.
Yes,
so
it seems to be carving
to
out Charlotte. He seems to be carving out a nice line in period dramas lately too, playing slimy types.
Do you know what?
The
question should be asked is: do you think that they're going to cast someone that's actually associated with the BBC, like this guy, for instance? He's been in a lot of BBC productions, isn't he? Or are they going to go out there and get someone from the Americans, the Australians, someone that's more known throughout there?
No,
you know what I mean? So
I don't think it will matter. I don't think it will matter to them if an actor's worked on the BBC or not, because it's just an actor taking a job.
Yeah,
and as we are proving on this show, there's some incredible British talent around.
There is. Yep.
So they don't need to. All they have to do is go into Spotlight, as we're sort of doing here, and have a look and take a look. And of course, these people like Julie and Jane have worked with a lot of talent over the last 20 years.
Yeah,
they know a lot of people. They socialise with a lot of people. They would have been to the theatres for a lot of people. So I don't think they're going to care if somebody's just stayed with ITV or Channel 4 or the BBC or whatever. I think they're just going to look at who can deliver this script in this rehearsal, in this audition correctly.
Well, they've got more money now. They got more money now, but also, they're more internationally known, Bad Wolf, aren't they? So, the pick hopefully the pick will
once
be
they
fantastic.
Once they got James McAvoy back on television for his Dark Materials, I believe Bad Wolf could sign pretty much anyone.
Yeah, that's great.
What I feel when we speculate about movie stars now, as regards Doctor Who, Ben Whishaw, lots of movies under his belt. I don't think realistically anybody is too difficult for them to get.
But you've got several elements there which are great sells for an actor. Russell T Davies, Bad Wolf, Julie and Jane,
more
BBC
money,
Studios, Doctor Who.
More money.
I don't think the money really comes into it for an actor. I think it's the things that you've got. I want to work with Russell. I want to work with Julie. I want to work with Jane. I want to work with Bad Wolf. I want to work with BBC Studios. It's Doctor Who. That's a sell.
Comment here from Wendy, and we've had this several times during our conversation.
Yeah, we have.
I do think that Martin would make a good master. We've had this throughout our first round.
Yeah.
What is it about the characters of the Doctor and the Master? Do you think, Simon?
Well,
they're literally the flips of the same.
They are flips of the same coin, and that, of course, is how Barry Letts and Terence Dix describes the Master, that they're two sides of the same coin, and that's absolutely it. And they are, in many ways, interchangeable characters. You can see why the idea is often being toyed with: are they brothers? Because they are literally black and white of the same character, good and evil. It's interesting, and so James Callis was certainly mentioned as a good candidate for the Master. Absolutely spot on. I think it was Cillian Murphy. Somebody, you're right, Dan. Everybody, I think, has been mentioned that they could be the Master.
Every single one.
Yeah, every single one could be. And in many ways, that's correct. That's right in a way, because the Doctor, again, as we've talked about tonight, the Doctor has that darkness and has that unpredictable. Well, proper Doctors have that darkness and that unpredictability and that edge of danger, which is spot on. That's the Master. So it's correct.
We've got some cynics watching in the chat as well. Richard Brooks says a regular wage is an attraction indeed.
It is in this day and age. Yeah,
rare thing in the industry. Yeah.
I just hope that the Jodie Doctor hasn't spoilt it. That actors will go, "What, Doctor Who?" And after Jodie, no, I'm not going to star in it. I hope they haven't spoilt it.
I'm hoping with that actors and talent will look at this as the all new Doctor Who with the 5 elements that I mentioned earlier, but also. It's an incredible challenge to reinvent something and make it popular again. So that and as we know, actors are egotists of the highest order. And if somebody comes in and plays it and gets it right and makes it successful around the world, they can sit back going, "I did that."
You know what? I think some of our viewers, I don't know what it says for them, I don't know what it says for you lot, are bigger fans of the Master than they are of the Doctor. Richard Brooks says, I think the Master is levels above the Doctor in every facet. Awful, awful people.
You naughty people.
From one Master to another, the Master of screenwriting and directing, and his number one choice. But who he would have as the 14th Doctor. Ian. I'm going to ask you. I assume you know, but who's this and why? Why would you choose the Doctor?
It's Matthew. It's Matthew. He was in a show that JT recommended, which was Discovery of Witches, and I thought was brilliant. JT, thank you very much for recommending it.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. And reason why when I was watching it, I was thinking to myself, this guy would make a good Doctor, and he'll be very different to all the actors that came before him, and we don't include Jodie in that. He'd be very different because his performance is very quiet in this show, and he will actually and present a different kind of Doctor, a more calm Doctor, a more quiet Doctor, a Doctor that you should reckon with. I reckon he'll be freaking awesome if they cast him as the Doctor. He was in Watchmen. He played the guy that tried to destroy. Well, he didn't try to destroy the world. Tried to correct the world. And he was really good in that. And he's been in loads and loads of films. And I just think he has that British thing about him, which I always believe the Doctor has. And I think
he is so ridiculously British, it's untrue. I mean, I'm amazed it took like 5 seasons for him to turn up in Downton Abbey. It seemed it seemed like the most natural fit in the world for him to go into that show after Dan Stevens left. But he has been around for a very, very long time. He was born in 1978 in Devon, another Englishman.
I just like the quietness about him. Because like if you look at all the Doctors, you have the crazy. Well, you have John Pertwee, which is kind of like the hero Doctor, which uses Aikido and stuff like that. And then you have Madman Tom Baker, and then you have Matt Smith, which was an old man in a young body. But we've never had a really quiet,
thoughtful,
focused Doctor, and I think he'll bring something.
Sylvester tried to bring that later in the day, but I think you're right.
But he'll bring something that's never been brought to the Doctor's character, which is quietness and a thoughtfulness, and you could see that man can go from good to evil.
Absolutely. You know I mean, you've got pictures of him there. In Downton, he plays what I would say is a predictable part for him in Downton. But you've got the story down the top left. That's the Alan Turing story, The Imitation Game, and in that he's very, very clever. In Discovery of Witches, he's great. I've been wanting Matthew Goode to be the Doctor since 2004. To be honest.
Yeah. He plays Lord Lichfield in The Crown as well, JT. Have you seen that?
I did. Yeah. My fear now is that because he's done Discovery of Witches, he would probably turn it down if he was offered it.
I actually think he will say yes to it if he was offered.
Do you think?
Because as I said, right, a lot of people are abandoning movies now because they know the money's bigger in TV than it ever has been, right? And now Bad Wolf, it's yes, it's still essentially BBC, but Bad Wolf is a company to be reckoned with now. Look how many hits they've had. You know, and it's a comfortable a person to go to because they work with him already. So I think he'd be brilliant personally. I think he's like my second choice after the guy in Lucifer, basically.
Oh, Tom Ellis.
Tom Ellis. Yeah, Tom Ellis.
I said to Ian, because Ian's just been talking about Tom Ellis to me as long as I've known him, so I made him choose somebody else, and I think some really good choices. JFO watching in the chat says the top left picture could be him in Doctor Who. It's like he's wearing the Doctor's coat.
He looks great in the suit as well, doesn't he? He looks fantastic in the suit.
He's annoyingly good looking and he looks great in everything.
Really is, yeah.
He's done the Hollywood system as well. He was in Chasing Liberty. I can't remember who that was. One of the teen idols played the lead in that. Mandy Moore, was it? Somebody like that. So good film. He's always good in all of them. You know, he's never bad in anything.
No, he's not.
No, his roles have really sort of run the whole spectrum of films. Obviously, as he's getting older, like he's 44. So he's
good
getting
age.
Those middle-age roles, those more sort of weighty roles, which I think he's been ready for probably for some time. And I'd love to see him play he is ridiculously doctorish, and Robert Payne says he's got the quietness, he has gravitas, age, and a sense of waiting to see what he says or does. He reminds Carol Jude of Rupert Giles, Anthony Head's character from Vampire Slayer, of course. And some people weren't keen on him in Watchmen. Like Matthew Pounder here, but the casting was good. Yeah,
he's very good in a film called Cemetery Junction.
Yes,
which is one of the earliest ones that I came across. That written by Ricky Gervais. It's a wonderful film, absolutely gorgeous film. If you haven't seen Cemetery Junction, look it up. It's a beautiful British movie. Wonderful cast. Treat yourself.
He's good as a baddie as well. He was in this film with Ben Kingsley, and he was really good as the villain. As I said, he's a very quiet sort of assuming character. Do you know what I mean? He could easily swap from villain to good guy. And I think
he did that in the Witches, didn't he?
He did,
Discovery of Witches. He did do it. You know, he was playing a vampire, in case you don't know.
Yeah.
And occasionally, the dangerous side would come out as he was losing his grip.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah,
the classic 80s fanboy is watching Carl and says recommends that we go and see the
he's in the Kingsman. Yeah, he is.
I haven't seen that yet. I must go and see that.
Yeah. And a return to the Doctor as an English gentleman in space.
Exactly.
Strawbridge, which probably wouldn't be a bad idea. We're going to take a look at another candidate now with Mr. JT, and it's this gentleman.
Let's put Problem Being out of his misery.
Yeah.
This is something that Problem Being and I agree on very much. This Facebook is the one and only Anirin Bernard, and it's somebody, of course, that we've mentioned before on the show. I think this young man, he's young to me, is wonderful. Too. I think he's an incredible talent. I first noticed him in Dunkirk, and then went and looked at other stuff. He played King Richard III in The White Queen, and also he was in Scylla as Bobby Willis there on the top right.
Husband and manager, wasn't
Bobby. Yeah. I think he's got an excellent way of just being able to, again, articulate and produce a character, a real character. And I think there's something in his eyes. Every time I see him in a role, there is something in his eyes that just smacks of mysteriousness or a twinkle, a naughtiness, a depth. Yeah, there's something there, and I just think he'd be a great character actor to produce the goods.
Looks young.
He's 35. 35 years old, so he's about right in my view to play the Doctor at the present time. When back in 2014, 2015-ish. I saw him in the Scylla biopic series starring Sheridan Smith. Really compelling adaptation of her life. The late singer and entertainer, of course. He played her husband. At the same time I was watching him in that, I was also watching War and Peace, where he was playing a totally different character. Didn't even realise it was the same guy, JT.
Ah, well, you see, that says it all then, because War and Peace, that production of War and Peace was quite heavy. wasn't it? I think it was one of the most faithful productions that anybody's ever done of that piece. And it was quite, I'm going to use the word graphic, but I think the actors loved every element of being out. Obviously, the director had turned around and said, "Go for this. You know this work. Go for it." And he did. He really did. Wonderful.
Yeah.
He's another Welshman. And as you mentioned, he's been in Dunkirk, another massive film, and seems to be cranking out the TV shows. So whilst he's not a household name, I don't necessarily think that that's high on his list of priorities. I think he just wants to do good work. I mean, there's a good sign here. He was in The Pact, which was Peter McTighe's series for the BBC recently. Peter McTighe is well in with Bad Wolf, possibly well in with Doctor Who. He's written 2 episodes of a show called Doctor Who, but he's not been given the chance to write proper Doctor Who, apart from his brilliant minisodes for the Blu-ray collection that we talked about, that we raved about last week. So the fact that he's been in The Pact, who knows, he may find his way over to Doctor Who. I understand that some of us may have even reached out to him on Twitter quite recently with the idea, put the idea out there, and he was
Problem being's been stalking him.
Problem being,
just a bit.
And quite right too. Just to put it in there, just send him a tweet saying, "Have you auditioned yet?" Because even if he got an audition and they could see what he could possibly do and he can practice what he's got to do, I think that would be a great achievement. But wouldn't it be great? And the picture that he flashed up at the beginning, I'll have him in that hair with that hairdo and that outfit. That would be fantastic.
Bit of Tom.
That's the Doctor, isn't it, Ian?
Bit of Tom, yes. Throw in the curly hair. Why not? Yeah. Yeah, he'd make a good Doctor, in my opinion. In fact, as I said, all the picks so far, I have no problem with any of them whatsoever.
I'm the same, actually. Yeah,
Isn't it interesting though? Because most of the picks so far, in fact, if not all of them, are all proper character actors who are versatile and can play lots of different characters. And maybe we're actually hitting on something here, that one of the keys to playing the Doctor is you've got to be a versatile actor. You can't just be a good actor in one kind of role. Yeah. And everyone that we've picked so far has been that kind of versatile
performance. Character. It's all about the performance. I think the only person of color was the one that Barnaby picked.
Colin Salmon,
yeah. But I'm quite surprised.
I hadn't even noticed that. Because it's not, for me, it's never about that sort of stuff. It's always about the talent, which is how it should be. Because we all know what happens if you go down the tip boxing routine. It doesn't work because you're just ticking a box. You're not looking at the quality.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Talking about versatile actors, Simon, I think your second pick, this gentleman absolutely falls into that bracket. I recognise the name. But
He's very off radar. This guy's very off radar. This is Linus Roach.
Oh, my God.
So it is very, very off radar.
This is somebody
that nobody's going to be talking about. But again, he's somebody that I have championed for the Doctor for many, many years. He kind of made his name in the film Priest in 1994.
Wonderful film.
But that was definitely what made his name. Which was one of the kind of first mainstream gay films, basically. And he plays a beautiful, beautiful, understated role in that. It's very focused. It's very you can't take your eyes off screen when he's on in Priest. The reason I picked Linus Roach specifically, again, the same with Ben Whishaw, that I picked him specifically for one film. And Linus Roach, I've picked him specifically for the film Pandemonium.
Yes. Sorry, I had to interrupt because I was just thinking. I remember him from Riddick, but he played. It was Wordsworth, wasn't he? In
Coleridge.
Yes, he was
Coleridge. Yeah, he plays Coleridge.
Coleridge. Sorry, not Coleridge. Yeah.
The romantic poet. Wordsworth is in there as well, of course. And it's a film by legendary director Julian Temple, and it's got Samantha Morton in as well, who is beautiful. I think.
I love her.
She's just literally transcendental in it. But Linus Roach specifically is in this film, yet again, the same as I was saying with Ben Whishaw when you watch Perfume. Please just go and hunt down Pandemonium.
Yes, brilliant film.
Which is basically it is the life story of Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the guy who wrote Kubla Khan about Pleasure Dome, and his performance as Coleridge is just again beautiful. He looks like the Doctor. The costume they put him in absolutely is the Doctor.
Oh, really?
And his performance is so. We've talked a few times tonight about being sort of a manic performance, slightly unhinged, unpredictable, and that's what this performance is. And again, I urge you, go and watch Pandemonium, and again, argue with me next week and tell me that it's not the Doctor, because it absolutely is. He plays the Doctor, and I'd love to see that.
He's brilliant.
It's good to see an actor like Linus Roach carve out such a varied career, both here and in the States. I remember him from Seaforth with Leah Williams back in the 90s when he was the sort of romantic lead, wasn't he? You know, it's a great show. I haven't seen it since it was on. Obviously, he's the son of William
58.
Roach.
58, I was going to say, so he's a good age again.
I was going to say, imagine the headlines.
Yes, he is a man of age, son of the Coronation Street legend William Roach. But in recent years, he's been across in the Law and Order franchise, across both Law and Order and the spin-off Special Victims Unit, playing recurring roles. And he's been in that big show Vikings from 2014 to 2017. He was in Vikings on the History Channel. That's a big show, Game of Thrones style big, and it's good to see a dependable British name like Linus Roach continuing to turn up in good roles. I got to be honest, I've never really thought about him as the Doctor, and now I'm starting to think, what an oversight! Because everything that he's always had there, Barnaby. He went through a phase of being very sort of Paul McGanney, but he's probably more versatile than Paul. I don't know. And
he was up for the '96 movie, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? I didn't know that.
Was he? I didn't know.
Or I'd forgotten that.
I think that's in the memory banks that he was on the list.
Good looking chap, though, isn't he? He's got the looks.
And again, he's one of these actors that will appear in so many different roles, and you won't even realise you're watching.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't even recognise him there.
There's something very attractive about that prospect.
I like the idea of kind of an invisible actor, as it were, who you're not necessarily going to come with, in the same way that Christopher Eccleston was. People kind of vaguely knew the name, and they maybe vaguely recognised the face, but they didn't really know where. He didn't bring any baggage with him, and I think that's a good thing for somebody not to bring baggage with them to the role. And as I say, he's just one of those actors. And as I say, please, I urge you, track down Pandemonium. It's a great film.
Will do. Yeah.
I mean, talking about baggage, I mean, there's some actors, they accumulate baggage from being in one particular role, a particularly successful role, but sometimes it becomes sort of notorious because they're in a role that wasn't, in a show that wasn't very successful, in a part that people didn't like.
Yeah.
But I think more fortunate actors, if they've got agents who are on their game, if they're making the right choices, can do, like Linus Roach, who's been around for 4 decades in his own right, and to maintain a consistent career in good parts. We've got several people here have just realised, yes, he was great in Vikings. I know that guy. People recognise him, didn't know that it was him, like where Wendy from the Department of Wind. I don't think I've watched him in anything, but I will keep a lookout from now. I think he's one of those actors.
I think it's really hard, isn't it? Because when you get a really good actor to play, if you've got a really, really good actor to play the Doctor, I reckon, and he's really into his craft, he probably won't stay long. He probably stay like for 2 years or 3 years, and then he's off. Do you know what I mean? But you have to find that middle where you find someone.
Matt, wasn't it?
That was
Matt Smith should not have gone as soon as he did. I've always believed that's a discussion for another time.
But he's an actor. He wanted to move on. He's an actor. He can't play one role. He wants to, and now he's getting loads of roles. Because he's a really good actor. It was the
right decision for Matt. Yes, it really was. And he's done stellar out of it. So was. But that's the other advantage of getting an actor of a certain age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Robert Payne
says as you mature, your priorities change, don't they?
Yeah.
Robert Payne says there are just too many actors to choose from. There are, and I'd rather it be like that than us being limited to 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, here comes another one. I wonder if you'll agree with this. This is Kyle Wagner again, shimmering out of the time eddy with his second pick. Now, this is somebody who, well, let Kyle explain who they are. I'm expecting a sigh from Ian, but I quite like this guy.
Stop picking on me.
I quite like this guy because, hang on a second, I quite like this guy because he has.
I know who you're going to.
Firstly, he's British.
Yes.
And secondly, I think that somebody needs to save him.
Save him.
Yeah, we're back here with culture clasher and true believer, Mr. Kyle Wagner from the Fandom Podcast Network, with a second pick for the 14th Doctor just for us. Who's it going to be this time, Kyle?
So I'm going to pull into a little Star Trek lore here. I know Star Trek Discovery has had its ups and downs and splitting opinions across the boards here, and I understand that. But one of the highlights for Star Trek Discovery since season 3 has been David Ajala, who plays Cleveland Booker. I think he has been one of the best and brightest things of Star Trek Discovery. I had actually been a little bit familiar from some of his earlier work, including a show called Falling Water here in the U.S. and a show called Night Flyers as well. He also played Manchester Black on Supergirl, and he is phenomenal. A lot of people are talking about, maybe Idris Elba as the Doctor, and I'm like, nah. If you want Idris, I think you need Idris is a little too big, but to be coming back to play the Doctor. But I think David Ajala, who in my opinion should also be on the James Bond list, he would bring a different kind of Doctor, but he would bring a Doctor who had a legitimate coolness to him, and a Doctor who could play serious but can also play and have fun within the sci-fi realm. And because he's done a lot of science fiction, obviously doing Discovery.
Yeah.
I think he would bring some good chops to that with his history in science fiction.
You
And I
recognize him,
think he
Barnaby?
would give us a new Doctor, but a Doctor who we would be very intrigued by, because I think it would be a version of the Doctor maybe we've never seen before. A Doctor who's a little more no nonsense, but still has this.
Ooh,
I'll say it, a Doctor who's truly cool. I don't think we've ever had a Doctor who the Doctor's always been a little oddball, and maybe Eccleston. It may be Eccleston, but Ajala, I think, would just bring an energy and again another name recognition, not just within the UK, but also over here in the States. And he just has a presence about him. And say what you will about Discovery, when you watch him and Sonequa Martin Green, who plays Michael Burnham on Discovery together, the chemistry those two have just radiates off the screen, and they are phenomenal, and they have such a playful energy, and I think he could bring some of that to Doctor Who.
Olivia's got her eyes on that on Kyle's cat there. I thought David was really good on Discovery, particularly those first few episodes where it was just him and Sonequa Martin Green. It was almost like I was watching 2 episodes of a completely different show. And you know what? Thinking about how he played it then in a really sort of contained but slightly quirky and roguish, unknowable way, it was almost like watching a Doctor and a companion, really. And I was kind of I was disappointed when those 2 characters joined the main cast of Discovery, and we got away from seeing them together. I see exactly what you mean about he's got some of the things that Idris Elba has about him. He's got enough of that with a dash more warmth and of the everyman about him. Because Idris Elba, he's a big man, physically a very, very big man, and a powerful actor. Whereas David Ajala, being a little younger too, he was born in 1986, so he's around the same age as Freddy Stroma. And yet, even though he's also been in several shows, he's yet to really make a mark and catch somebody like this at the right time in their career, Kyle. And you could be breaking a major star with a role like Doctor Who, couldn't you?
Yeah, and I think that's something that they need to, when Russell's looking, and I'm sure he's closer to knowing who's going to be the Doctor than not, but I think this is something that they need to kind of look at with Doctor Who is maybe right now.
This isn't going down well in the chat on YouTube.
Unknown, but go with somebody who's on that verge and is needing that one thing to really get him over the top. And right now, I think whoever you bring in as a Doctor, if they can get things right for Doctor Who, then they're going to be leapt up to a worldwide platform that I think will be absolutely huge. And I think either of these 2 gentlemen, whether it's Freddie or David, have that potential. And like I said, I think the good thing about them is too they have worldwide appeal because of what they've already done.
See that. Yeah, and
I think that's something they need.
I don't know if David loves genre programming or if genre programming just loves him, but he's done quite a lot of it. There was that Falling Water show, which I understand was quite left of field. He was in Night Flyers for Syfy. There was that recurring villain role on Supergirl a couple of years ago. This was before Discovery, but over here in the UK, because it's another British actor. He's from Hackney in North London, Ian. And he was also in 2 of Noel Clarke's films in kidulthood and adulthood, and a small role in The Dark Knight. He was in a Fast and Furious film. He's done all these things, but he's also been in The Bill, Silent Witness, Death in Paradise, all the kind of UK shows, again, that you would expect an actor of his age to pop up in. So good-looking, heroic, kind of charismatic young men that I think now catching a guy like him at this time would be a very interesting pick for the Doctor. But he's also been in Doctor Who before, hasn't he?
Yes, he has been. So that makes get a little bit of connection there, and so he has some familiarity with what Doctor Who is about. So that makes it even more interesting. I could even see, if you weren't going to cast him as the Doctor, I would love to see him maybe become like the new version of Captain Jack. That
probably a little too close
to book on Discovery, would you say?
It might be, but I could still see him in that role, and just to have him involved in the Who universe in one way or another. If he can't be the Doctor, get him in something like that where he's maybe not a regular companion, but at least you can bring him in on a regular basis.
Again, Kyle, I feel that David Ajala is another really interesting pick. That I'd certainly love to see what he would do with it. I find it difficult to argue with any of the points that you've made about where the character needs to go from now. And I'd say that even though I personally have sort of fallen out of love with Discovery, he was one of the more interesting aspects of the last full season that I watched. And I think that, somebody should maybe throw David a lifeline, get him off that show and onto something half decent. Russell, if you're listening, bring him over. Thanks again, Carl. 2 cracking choices. We'll see what the others think.
Yeah, I want to apologize to the viewers. I've been invaded by a couple of time traveling furballs during the interview. So, they have a tendency to get in things, but they're Who fans too. So no worries there. But yeah, I'm excited to see who the new Doctor is going to be in. Maybe Russell surprises. Maybe it'll be one of these 2 gentlemen. But those are my thoughts on 2 people who just sprung to my mind very quickly for who the new Doctor might be.
He's hoping. Thanks for your time, Carl. Good to speak to you.
Always good to speak to you guys.
Well,
I'm totally against that. I don't think he's right with the Doctor at all.
David Ajala.
Totally wrong. Absolutely, completely and utterly wrong. He reminds me of the fugitive Doctor, and she's wrong as well for the Doctor, and I believe he's wrong as well. But that's just my opinion.
I think he's too inherently cool. I recorded that with Kyle a little while ago. Simon, is this an actor that you've ever seen in anything? He's done everything.
Literally never. Not that's a problem, but no, I simply can't comment because I don't know who he is.
You would have seen him in The Beast Below, though, eh?
Oh well, I have seen him in The Beast Below.
And we didn't know him.
As soon as that's mentioned, I kind of think, I've just got bad thoughts about that.
There's one line in there as well.
So, I think so. Yeah, he has one line. I just don't think it's right. I don't think
I agree with what the Space Bookers were saying in the chat. I don't think the Doctor should ever be cool. No. It's not that sort of part. No. And he is essentially British, and we are not really cool. We're not like that. We're not like the American market or anything like that. We are batty. But it's
I think it's one thing to be cool by accident, isn't it, JT? But to be consciously cool and to cast an actor who has that as a natural innate quality could be a folly.
Well, I do believe that a good actor can act. So I would think he is British. He would understand that the Doctor is a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey, and he could possibly put a character. I don't know his work either because I don't watch any of that American guff. So I don't understand any of it. So I don't know who he is. I certainly
International
don't watch...
guff. International guff.
Whatever. Is it really Star Trek Discovery?
It's not just that either. I mean, some of those other shows that he's been on, I've got to give them their due. They are international shows. They
might be shown internationally, but are they popular? I don't know. But I would. I mean, Supergirl went so woke it was. But anyway, we're going off. So yeah, but I would think as an actor, I would hope to trust him to be able to say, well, I know what I can do with this, and maybe have a go, but. Yeah, I'm like Simon. I can't really comment too much because I don't know who he is.
Crimpling de Bloom says it'd be like trying to make Columbo cool, Ian.
Yeah, it would be.
That could never happen.
I mean,
No,
no disrespect to anyone of color. I still maintain that the Doctor shouldn't be black at all, in my opinion, obviously. But you know, if some Colin Salmon got cast as the Doctor, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But I still, in my opinion, the Doctor is an English guy that comes from Cambridge or Oxford. In my opinion, that's who he is, and I, you know. That's just my opinion, of course. But, you know,
I like Digby Strawbridge's comment here that the Doctor is champion of the uncool.
Absolutely.
No,
what
I think it is that the Doctor has confidence. He's not cool. He's not slick. He's not that sort of that. But he's.
But confidence is cool. That's the thing.
No, but cool to me is like a bit cocky. Like you're cool.
No, that's cocky.
Oh, no, but,
that's not that cool is what you were just describing.
Is a Time Lord cool? Is an alien cool?
I think so.
Confidence, though, is different to me. Confidence is you're intelligent, you've got the history,
and that's
you
cool.
can just show it. Whereas cool's a bit more how other people perceive you.
Yeah, that's true too. But the thing is, though, I honestly think the Doctor is cool. He's quirky. He's odd. I think all those things are really cool, in my opinion. But that's just, again, it's just my opinion.
It's a balancing act. I think that's. I mean, Tom Baker says that any actor can play the Doctor. The Doctor is actor proof. That's just something that Tom Baker says. We know that that's not true now, don't we, Simon?
No, we know that's
fucking
of course we
do.
Proven to be wrong.
Controversial.
At its foundations, I suppose what he was trying to say is that everybody has a Doctor in them, and maybe David does have a Doctor in them. But the fact is, would that connect with the public?
He was right up to a certain point. He might be right again up to a certain point now. We don't know.
Problem being says that Tennant was cool. Smith wasn't.
I did like Smith. I thought he was cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I get what Problem being saying there. Tennant was sort of, yeah.
But he was good looking, wasn't he?
Yeah, it wasn't just that. The way that Tennant did it was there was that sort of thing. That's why he was so accessible, I think. But then Smith came along and just turned it around. It was absolute. It was accidental,
Yeah. The difference between Tennant and Smith is that Tennant was good. It was a good-looking fellow, but he was trying to be an oddball with all his gurning and shouting and screaming. And I never really warmed to Tennant at all. But when Matt came, he was a general article. When Matt became the Doctor, in my opinion, of course, he just became the Doctor, and this old man in a young body. It just really worked for me. Matt worked for me, but yeah.
There's one more pick left, and this one comes from me, everybody. Save the best for last.
Here we go.
This is just a reminder. Honestly, this is. I'm very confident in this choice. Yes, so this is just a reminder. Please like the video if you haven't already. We've had a lot of people watching this show. Thank you so much. Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel too, because we do this regularly. We're not going to be doing it for a couple of weeks. We're taking a little break. More about that a bit later on, only for a little while. More shows coming soon, I promise. But yeah, please subscribe to the channel and turn on the cloister bell so you get the notifications about when we're back and doing it some more. Can't say fairer than that, can we? Okay, so here is my second and final choice for the evening. This is the actor, the 31-year-old actor, Himesh Patel. And he is a graduate of British television. He is a British actor, graduate of EastEnders, as I'm sure plenty of people will have recognised him from that, and now having considerable success in movies and TV outside of that. He left EastEnders something like 5 or 6 years ago. And recently I saw him in a film called Yesterday.
Yes, that's where it was. The Beatles one.
Another Danny Boyle film, which I have to say that film disappointed me.
It was rubbish. Yes, totally agree. Absolutely
I tell
rubbish.
you who didn't disappoint me? Himesh Patel. He was really, really good in it. He grounded it and kept me watching what was really quite a mediocre film from Danny Boyle. He plays the balance we were just talking about between being believable, capable, and cool. I thought he exhibited all of those qualities perfectly in Yesterday, playing a kind of everyman character, somebody who was never going to be cool. And yet somehow he is. He can play the guitar, he can get the girl, all those kinds of things. So it really impressed me. I watched him. I feel like I watched Himesh grow up playing Tanwar Masood on EastEnders for a good 5 or 6 years. He was an awkward, spotty type character he was awkward in every respect, not just around girls. You know, he was book smart, and gradually he found his personality in that through performing stand-up comedy, and it allowed Patel to develop the character in just an unforeseen way. I think it surprised everybody. And he, in a show at that time where EastEnders, which is unwatchable now, at that time it was going places that I don't think people would have foreseen with the character, and I really appreciated that. And to see him go on, to see him leave EastEnders and turn up in big movies like we see on screen now, the Netflix movie Don't Look Up, Ian, he was very recently in that.
Was he in that? Did he play in that? I watched that. That was brilliant.
Good.
That's on the top right there. He was in Tenet as well at the bottom. That's Christopher Nolan's film Tenet. He was in that last year or the year before. He's done small screen sci-fi, 2 shows, one Station 11, and then Avenue 5 with Hugh Laurie. So this is an actor who is carving out a career in interesting parts. You could say that there are Himesh Patel parts. He wears a beard quite a lot lately. I don't think I'd like him to bring the beard to the Doctor. I think we should kind of see the Doctor's...
He's quite young, isn't he?
Face. He's 31 years old, which is older than Matt was, and around the same age that Tennant was. And for me, he has that balance. Earlier on, Simon, you talked a little bit about Ben Whishaw, and I think he's got it too, whereby he seems gangly and geeky and awkward. Geeky is a new word. Everybody will be saying it by this time tomorrow. Hashtag geekly.
Trendsetter.
In fact, it's so good. I'm going to say it again. He's gangly and he's geekly. And
hope he's not watching.
What's the point, Himesh? I hope you are watching Himesh, because I think you're great. I think he's a great actor, and I think at some point in the near future, I mean, the thing is, he's been in those movies in supporting roles, and he's good in them. But I don't feel that he's a lead film actor. I think
no, he's not.
Himesh belongs on TV, in a big show, in a big part, in the big part, and I think he could be a really exciting and natural pick for the Doctor. If you want somebody who's physically capable, who's acting, his choices, his performances seem to be getting better and better and better. For an actor like Patel to spend 3 or 4 years in Doctor Who, I think would be good for him, good for the show, and I don't think anybody would be expecting anything that he would do with it. There's something about the intensity that he's got inside with his comic chops that mean, for me, Himesh Patel is a really strong pick for the Doctor. Over to you guys. Don't listen to me anymore. What do you think?
Well, I think certainly as we don't know who he is, it would be unexpected.
Yeah,
I'm not being nasty. I mean, that's the point of getting somebody that isn't that known, because I don't know him.
But like we said before, there's no problem with that at all.
No. Because you would be surprised, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I must be honest. I've literally never even heard of him, and not aware of having seen him in anything. But again, that's absolutely not a reason to not cast him.
He's a good actor, but I feel he's not right for the Doctor personally. But
why do you feel that?
Well, I saw him in Yesterday.
Yes, that's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't think much of the movie, but I didn't think there was anything doctory about him. And I've seen him in the films that Dan's mentioned, and I don't really think there's anything doctory about him at all. But again, I should reiterate this. This is just my opinion, you know.
You don't have to reiterate that, love. It's all fine and dandy. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Barnaby, do you know him, Charlotte?
No.
No one knows.
I've heard of him. I've seen him on posters, but I've actually never seen anything he's in. He's in Tenet, you say?
Yeah, he's in Tenet. He has.
I'll watch that because I'd be mean to watch him Tenet. But,
you won't recognize him.
Okay, but you don't recommend Yesterday.
Yeah, Yesterday wasn't very good.
Not as a film, no. But I recommend him in it. I think that
him in it.
He was great in it, and so was Lily James. You know, if it wasn't for the chemistry that they were able to create out of a screenplay that just needed to be tighter. It was Richard Curtis who wrote that, and it was really undercooked. And it was because they kind of clung on to it that I kept on watching it. And I mean, people are asking in the chat. People are saying Tennant was 35. He wasn't. Tennant was 31, which is the same age that Himesh is. And asking, well, what about the eccentricity? This actor is more than capable of bringing eccentricity.
I don't know if the Doctor should be eccentric though.
He did that for years on EastEnders to the right measure. He was eccentric, he was quirky, and he seems to have just expanded. I mean, I think that actors, we talked about Matthew Good earlier, the kind of films that he was making in 2004, 2005, films like Chasing Liberty. I think that's the kind of thing that Himesh Patel is doing now. And when I think about Ben Whishaw, who sadly, doesn't want to play the part, but who's pushing 50, the choices that Patel is making, the performances that he's giving now are the kind of performances that Ben Whishaw was giving 15 years ago. And so, I don't know, it just seems to be connecting for me that this could be the right man at the right time for him. No eccentricity. Raymond Williams says, I don't know how you're not seeing it. I think it, I don't know about him being a strong lead for a TV show, because he hasn't done that. You're right. But if there's one thing that he has proved is that he can be very, very eccentric. But this is a choice.
He's a good actor.
Sooner or later, Ian, I feel this man is going to lead a TV show.
I hope so.
I think he'll continue to be in films the way that Peter Capaldi has continued to be in films. But I believe that he's going to lead a TV show, and I'd love it to be Doctor Who. He's done a couple of big finishes. I only found that out today.
He's a good actor. He's a accomplished actor. I wish him all the best, and I hope he does find a TV show that will house his talent. But personally, I don't think he'll make a good Doctor, because I've seen nothing from what he's done in films that actually makes me think of him as the Doctor. But
and that's what I find exciting about it, because we haven't seen him do that. I'd
you're right.
Somebody, and this is a general thing, rather than have somebody turn up in a movie and play a part that is very Doctorish, and people go just connect it and say, oh, that's like the Doctor, therefore he should play the Doctor. I'd rather find an actor who seems to have versatility and who is approaching a sweet spot in their career, take them and give them the best part on British TV than just parachute in somebody who does and this is why, Chris Marshall, I love Chris Marshall, I really do. But he does. Chris Marshall's made a career out. Chris Marshall has played a career out of playing doctorish parts in other shows. And so I feel that if they were to parachute him into the role, it would be really, really lazy. And I know exactly what he would do with it. And I'm sorry, but it's the same with Michael Sheen. I love Michael Sheen, but I know exactly how he would play the Doctor. And so it doesn't interest me, Simon. Do you see what I'm saying?
That's a really good point. It's interesting. I'd never even thought of it like that. But I mean, I suppose in many ways, that's exactly what happened, for example, when they cast Peter Davison, because nobody could see him as the Doctor. Nobody had a clue what he was going to do with the part. Because the part that he was famous for up until that point as Tristan was definitely not Doctorish. It was the farthest thing from being Doctorish. And so it's an interesting point you make, actually. Yeah, cast somebody that you can't. Certainly my two choices fall squarely into the category of I've seen them in a performance that absolutely, to me, screams the Doctor. And it's an interesting argument to say, well, no, go the opposite way. Cast somebody that doesn't scream the Doctor at all. But of course, is that a riskier strategy, or actually is trying to have somebody who was previously played?
There's no right or wrong. There's no right or wrong, Simon. Do you know what I mean? Dan makes a good point. You make a good point. JT makes a fantastic point when it comes to Doctor Who. But that's what I'm saying. There's no right or wrong, because the right person's out there.
Especially now, because what's happening now is the advantage is now. It's been through a very terrible time. It's alienated not just the fan base, but as we've said many times before, the great British public have gone from the show. So anybody now who can capture them to say, come back in, especially us as fans, you've got to come back in as well. I think that's the gravitas there, isn't it? So actually, somebody like that you could put in there, because people would go, what's that?
Yeah.
And there's your interest.
I think people would, the British public would say, oh, I remember him. When it'd be pointed out on a news bulletin, they'd show clips of him in East End. People would go, oh, I remember him. And a lot of people would have gone, oh, I wondered what he was doing. They wouldn't have realised it was the same guy. And I think it's the same of numerous choices tonight. And those are the choices that interest me the very, very most. I'll be honest, Himesh Patel, that choice has not gone down well with the chat on YouTube. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Yeah. I'm absolutely convinced that the Peter Davison comparison actually has got. I was seeing Ben Whishaw, but now you've mentioned it, I see Peter Davison. I can see the similarities there. But if you've enjoyed this conversation and our picks, most of them, apart from that one, if you've enjoyed the picks, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Hit the little cloister bell so you get the notifications about what we're doing next. And we're doing it Charlotte, this one came from you. Who's next? You wanted to know.
Yes.
Who's next? Now you know. Maybe you don't. But have you enjoyed yourself on this edition of Type 40 Live? I do hope you have.
I know I've had a really good time, and I agree when you were saying in our chat beforehand. Like, I think there has been some really interesting picks, and some picks that a lot of us have gone, actually that would work. So I'm quite happy that we've done this, and I've had a good time.
Some of the actors, Charlotte, including the Line of Duty cast member that you picked, Martin Compston, there are several choices that I've never seen in anything, or I've only seen in one or two roles, which didn't really. And now I think I should go back and maybe look again, and I should certainly watch Line of Duty. I should watch A Discovery of Witches, even though I know Matthew Good is. I should just watch Discovery of Witches because it's brilliant. Good. You know, so all of these choices, and I think I've seen your choices too, JT, in a different light since this conversation. So these are DVDs, because I've got a lot of these shows that I can maybe go back to and look for traces, because that's what I do, Barnaby. You know, when it's one thing to see an actor like David Tennant in the show and think, he could be the Doctor. But when sometimes when people suggest somebody to me, like when Chris Eccleston's name first appeared as Doctor, I went and I watched Jude. I watched The Second Coming again. I went and looking because I couldn't see it. I thought, show me the Doctor, show me the Doctor. I even did it with somebody back in 2017 that was proved really very fruitless. But it's something that I always do, and I think with these choices, I'll probably be doing that again. But thanks again, Charlotte. I know you've got to pop off, but we're going to be winding down in a minute anyway. But thank you again for your company and your picks, and we'll be seeing you again on the show very, very soon. Good night, Charlotte. Good night.
Bye, Charlotte. Good night.
Yes, Charlotte. Bye.
Bye. And thank you to everybody who's been watching along on YouTube and Facebook through our opus of potential Time Lords here. Olivia liked him in yesterday. I thought he had energy in that. Says thank you, Olivia. You can stay. Dan, change your prescription, says problem being. And Daniel Leach says Charlotte is awesome. She absolutely is. Well said. Of course she is. And a fantastic fun stream at the Spacebook. And everybody in the panel and chat says Wendy. Of course. Fantastic stuff. Who would like to see a pretty picture? I have a pretty picture because
pretty pictures always good.
We mentioned earlier on one person in particular who's sadly no longer with us, but is a legendary Doctor Who figure. But before we get to him, I thought we'd have a look at this because it does tie in. Where are we? Let's get this up on screen. This is a selection of cartoons by Welbeck Kane.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. This is over on Deviant. They've got their own Deviant page. So this is Matt Smith with his Cyberhead companion handles. They're from, I can't remember which episode that was, Barnaby. But yeah, I'm quite a fan of handles for his limited appearance in that.
Time of the Doctor, wasn't it?
Time of the Doctor.
Time of the Doctor, yeah.
Don't they? That's the problem. He's got your hair actually there, Barnaby. He's stolen your hair.
It's the wrong colour though.
It's the hair episode.
It should be black.
Yeah.
Wrong
Copyright Barnaby Jago. And but this is one of a series. So here's another one. Here's Jenna Coleman's Clara in Flatline there.
I love that Capaldi. That eye from Capaldi. Brilliant.
Okay.
Really nicely done. I don't know who this is. I haven't even got a name or contact or anything that I can tweet at them or anything. Just this Instagram page. So there's that from Flatline. And finally, in memory of Roger Delgado, who would have had a birthday this week, there's this wonderful Terror of the Orphans.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Scared the crap out of me when I saw that. Scared the crap out of me. So lovely. Nice little cartoons and with that style as well. I can't work out where I've seen the style before. It looks a little bit Pixarian, I think. It's really good.
I haven't really seen that style anyway. I think that's what's fun about these. That's really whoever Welbeck Kane has got a really good style there. They've found quite a unique style for themselves. They're well done, Welbeck. Excellent. Nice to see with a different angle.
Slightly different, very quirky, really individual, and something that, again, the creativity of the Doctor Who fan base, which is something we want to connect with artists, creatives, cosplayers, everybody out there who's doing something quirky and Doctor Who-y, unofficially or officially, get in touch and tell us about it. We'll get you on. We'll talk about it. We'll have a look. We'll give you our honest opinions, and we maybe be able to bring your work to our audience. Our chat
just in time.
A full of lovely people watching along on Facebook and Twitter, all for the love of Doctor Who, of course. And that's what we're going to be celebrating between now and the 60th anniversary here on Type 40 Live and Type 40. Hold tight and stay notified for more, gentlemen. What a show!
What a show!
Great
What a
show.
show!
I don't know if we found
Let's
the
do it
Doctor,
again.
but let's do it again in 5
We
minutes
have
time.
found the Doctor. We found the Doctor.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe we have.
Wouldn't it be fun if one of our choices was actually that would be cool, wouldn't it?
That'd be great. Yeah, that would be great.
He has
It's
been
very
chosen.
unlikely.
Listen to my words. He has been chosen. So there you go.
He said he.
I said he.
He said
I
he.
said he.
Fun show as usual, says Moons of Madness.
I hope
you,
so.
Moons of Madness.
Fingers crossed.
Thank you to you all, says Tony. Thank you for being here, Tony. It's been good to have your company. A night all from Problem Being and lots more of that. Matt Potts been watching the whole time too. Nice that you were up, Matt. Good to see you. Neat drawing, says Jack Thursby. Good to see you too, Jack. And brilliant from Richard Brooks. I don't know if that was the cartoons or us, probably both. I'll take brilliant. I'll take brilliant.
Cartoons.
It's the show. It's the show.
Yes, I think it's time we remind them, Ian. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Get subscribing. Lots of people out there who watch and don't subscribe. Let's sort that out. Come on. What more do you want? We'll be back with more Type 40 Live in a couple of weeks, but that's us clambering back into the TARDIS and dematerializing for a little break. But we'll be back with another couple of shows.
I don't want to go.
We'll be back with another couple of shows before, including a big Easter party. Heaven knows what JT will be wearing for that. That's going to be worth coming back for.
Easter egg.
In itself. We always have the time if you have the space here at Type 40 Live. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.